We're talking about Original Sin and The Rock, and yeah, and we're live. So, so what's going on, peeps? Booyah! Something like that. Hmm. Yeah. It did. I mean, uh, I mean, we can talk about however. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on a second, Sal. Hold on a second. People say they can't hear you. Why not? Yeah, why not? You should be good. I don't think it's my settings. Default. No, it's the same one. I don't know what the hell's going on with OBS, man. Like OBS works okay sometimes, and then it doesn't work, and then it's just like I all my settings were perfect, and I don't know what in the hell is going on here. But I'm getting really irritated with OBS, and I'm getting it's just starting to irritate the hell out of me. So anyway,
Yeah.
so we're back. All right, we're
Hey
back,
everybody, we're
everybody.
back.
All right.
Let's do it
I'm
again.
sorry that we had to bail out on you guys. We love you
Right?
guys.
It's terrible.
We
I
lost
guess
two
for
of our seven watchers.
right?
So,
Yeah. Of our
um,
dozens and dozens of fans, as
Oh,
mankind used to say.
okay, okay. So, what were we saying before we got so rudely interrupted by the fact that OBS is a piece of shit?
That nobody could hear us. Well, we were saying, welcome to the weekly poll, everybody. I am Sal from TV Little House. That's Rob from Oliver Explained, and that is Dave from Comics Reviews. We are here to talk to you about comics that came out recently. We're also going to talk about the casting of Black Adam in the Shazam movie, and we're going to talk about the Doctor Strange movie. But before we get into that, let's talk about the comics. That is to say, Original Sin wrapped up, and Rob and I read it. Uh, Dave heard about it, so let's get into it. Original Sin wrapped up, as we said, kind of predictably. Like we kind of saw it coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
Uh, what I was going to say originally was when I first read the first issue, when like the Watcher was murdered, his eyes gouged out, and Captain America saying to original like white Nick Fury, "Hey man, I'm gonna need you on this one." I kind of felt like, okay, they're gonna kill Nick Fury because
I
they've
mean,
got they've got Black Nick Fury, they've got Sam Jackson Nick Fury. They're trying to like sandwich him into the Marvel universe, shoehorn him in, if you will. And you can't have that with two Nick Furies. You can't have
wait.
like the epic, like I've been everywhere and done everything. Sam Jackson Nick Fury without like with a old grizzled white Nick Fury
I'm
running around. I think it's
I'm
too.
sorry. I'm sorry, Sal. I don't want to take your fire, but what is that like the ultimate version of Nick Fury, or is this
Oh my
just...
God, Dave, you're killing me, man.
Okay.
Well, I know
Here's
that.
all right, here's the short version, okay? In the Ultimate Universe, they made Samuel Jackson Nick Fury, and they
Right,
based the
right.
movie version off of that.
Yes.
In the 616 universe, rather than just say the Ultimate Universe has failed, let's just grab the the character we created before the cinematic universe came out and just put him in the Marvel universe proper. They were like, no, we got to make it make sense, and we have to try and like retcon it in. So Nick Fury had an interracial relationship. She had a son who looks a lot like Samuel L. Jackson. He grew up. He joined Shield, and his name is Nick Fury. He also coincidentally lost an eye. So
Yes.
now what we can do is kill original Nick Fury, and we can have our cake and eat it too. And it's so needlessly marveled up that it just like, because Marvel's like that. They're like, well, it's got to make sense. It's got to be a story. It has to fall into the whole chronology because it's an ongoing continuity that's been happening for 75 years. We can't disrupt that now. We certainly can't just say, we made this Black Nick Fury over here in this other universe, and he was like, I'm quitting, and he just came to our universe. That would be way too stupid. We have to have it really be all this circuitous nonsense, where it's like, Nick Fury had this like other kid named Nick Fury, and he also
Nick Fury Jr.
Yeah, Nick Fury Jr.
What a
and
unique
he joined
name.
S.H.I.E.L.D., but he's like not a high-ranking S.H.I.E.L.D. officer. That's, by the way, also how they retconned in Coulson. Like, Nick Fury Jr. and Coulson were brought in on the same story. And it's like, whatever, come on, guys.
See, that's what I think Marvel did. Like, Marvel sat down and they said, okay, Nick Fury's going to have a kid. Like, we've got to give him a name. What's a good name? And it's like these people just kind of sitting around and somebody's just like, fuck it, Nick Fury Jr.
Oh, no, I think that they were like, we need to make... I think they were like, we need Black Nick Fury in the 616. And they were like, how are we going to do that? And they were like, make him a kid. Make him Nick Fury's kid. That way it's linked.
I mean,
that way the old school fans will be happy because it's technically Nick Fury's genetic material, but it's also stupid because
it is, man. Like, I don't like some of the stuff they're doing. Like, Marvel's like, yes, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is amazing, you know. And so in response, they're like, let's move everything over the direction of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's like, well, hey guys, what about the stuff that's happened for like the last 70 years? And they're like, Original Sin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
done.
even the Guardians of the Galaxy fans are really unhappy.
Yeah.
Because they're starting to like shoehorn in everything that happened from the movie. Like, there's a Star-Lord spin-off series where they kept the stuff that was happening in the comics, like Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde have a long-distance phone sex relationship. But in that new issue of Star-Lord, he wears a big red coat and he's like 10 years younger than he had been in the comics.
Yeah.
And she sings the Hooked on a Feelin' song to distract an alien and have, Star-Lord kick his ass. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, that's the stuff Marvel's doing. And it's not all bad. Like they didn't kill off Nick Fury in Original Sin. He's just like, he's the new Watcher.
Oh, right, I forgot. Like, they didn't
yeah.
actually... Okay,
See,
first of all,
he's not
everybody in
dead.
the chat, we are ruining Original Sin.
We are
spoiling Original Sin.
Which, by the way, is okay because I'm pushing back Infinity Gauntlet and doing Original Sin starting Monday. So,
Nice.
yeah, I was talking to Benny, and Benny was like, "You should do Original Sin on Monday," and I was like, "You're 100% right."
We are
After
also
all
doing Original
that
Sin over
teasing,
at
Rob,
Yeah.
after all that really good teasing that you did, as opposed to teasing you've done in the past that was really crappy.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Me talking for 30
yourself
seconds
off
and then it just cutting off.
Oh, that's amazing.
At the best part, no less.
It's called burying the lead, Dave.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So do what?
I'm sorry I asked. I just I don't think you brought up that thing about Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury.
No.
Before.
Well, I brought it up when I was talking about the Nick Fury because the question that everybody had is, like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, how the hell is Nick Fury black in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Yeah.
So you had to explain the Ultimate Universe version of Nick Fury, but nonetheless, I'm not wildly disappointed with what they did. Like, me and Benny were talking about this earlier, which, by the way, guys, Benny's in a meeting, so he's not here. But we were talking about like what they've done with a lot of the characters in Original Sin. Like, now they see exactly. Kenji said it. Like, they have something to do with Bucky Barnes. Like, Bucky Barnes after like volume 5 of Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after like Captain America's assassination, he's the new Captain America, and they're like, yeah, Bucky Barnes has something to do, and then Captain America comes back, and so it's like, well, I mean, like, what do we do with Bucky now? And so like they basically did this like Game of Thrones style. They were just like off to the wall with you, and they sent him off.
Yeah.
and just
I mean,
made him wear the black. So.
We were talking about this with I was talking about this with my retailer the other day. He's like, who's gonna be Nick Fury's replacement? And let's put some context in there for people who don't know, if they're not reading the original sin or if they didn't get up to this point, and they want it to be spoiled. Nick Fury took on a secret task where he's like a secret agent that is a secret agent's secret agent.
Which, by the way, I'm sorry, I need to interrupt you for a second.
Sure.
The way they did that in the comics was
I loved it.
freaking amazing.
It was cool.
The way they told that story was okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah,
Continue.
no. So the idea was that like Nick Fury basically took on a other secret agent job where he fights the threats that no one ever even sees. These like hidden secret invasions, these huge cosmic threats no one even knows exist, these interdimensional issues. Nick Fury has been there since the 60s, I guess, like killing and assassinating across the cosmos, up to the center of the Earth, all the way through to like the Guardians of the Galaxy territory. Like this guy has been killing and slaying people with gamma irradiated bullets for as long as anybody can remember. And so he has been what they call the man on the wall. He's like the first, last, and only line of defense against interdimension. He's basically a man in black, only instead of like giving them their green card, he murders them.
Yeah.
And he basically like gallivants across the galaxy and murders like potential threats to the Earth, and it's like the thing that helps him sleep at night, because he knows that no matter what kind of terrible hairy shit he's up to, he knows that it's all been for the greater good and he's been protecting humanity. So you got that going on. His infinity formula has dried up, so he's gonna die, and he knows it. So he's like, I need a replacement. We get a motley crew of people you'd never see in a room together, and it's really cool to see. And then ultimately one of them decides to do it, and I think they couldn't have picked a better character to do it, because he's a really cool character that they've done really cool things with, but haven't done anything really cool with in the last 5 years. And that is Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier, is now assassinating across the galaxy in the name of Nick Fury, which I think is awesome.
Yeah,
it's a great thing to do with that character, because especially in the fact that like they don't have anything to do with him. And like Winter Soldier is such a cool character, and it was a great legitimization for bringing Bucky back to life. Like normally for the last like 70 years, you'd say nobody stays dead except for Bucky. Yep. And then they brought him back, and it's like, you better have a damn good reason to bring him back. And thankfully they did. They had a good reason. It was called The Winter Soldier, and it was badass. So badass. It was one of the it was the number one Marvel movie ever made. That's how badass the Winter Soldier idea was. But then after that, like they made him Captain America, which was a flash in the pan, I think. You know, they got the Alex Ross design where he's got a gun, and that caused some controversy. But then he joined the New Avengers, and he didn't do anything. He just basically benched the whole series. Yeah. He'd be like, all right, guys, you guys have been doing this longer than me. I'm going to like abstain from any votes or any decisions ever made. And then Fear Itself happened, which nobody enjoyed. And then
Fear Itself wasn't that bad.
No, it was horrible. It was boring and it was stupid. Like nobody cares about about Fear Itself. Like the only thing that was neat about Fear Itself was the pinball game that you can get on Xbox Live based on.
Oh my god.
And even
that's the most brutal review I've ever heard of Fear Itself.
Yeah, right?
The Xbox Live pinball game was more interesting than the damn story.
It was pretty cool. Like, it was cool, I guess. Like, you got that going for you.
Well, like you got to look at some of the stories that Marvel puts out. Like you have huge, massive stories that aren't even like universal wide. Like you've got like Siege. All right, Siege was don't give me that look. Siege was amazing. Siege was awesome. You got Loki, who's one of the coolest villains in Marvel Comics.
In the movies.
In Marvel Comics.
Okay.
And then you've got I will say that Tom Hiddleston made Loki cooler.
Yes.
But Loki was a pretty cool, mischievous character in the comics.
Yeah, he was fun. I mean, like he brought the Avengers together. He gets props for that already. Yeah. And then Tom Hiddleston made him sexy and cool. They made him cosplayable.
Made him cosplayable, yes. And then you have Norman Osborn, like two pretty serious villains, and they're like, let's just go invade Asgard because you know shit, why not? It's a Saturday, and what the hell else do we have to do?
Right.
So, like, they go and invade Asgard, and stuff just, like, pops off. And the Sentry comes back, and the Sentry's just like, I'm the Void again, you know, and I'm going to just, like, kill everybody, you know. And it's like, oh, my God, we've all got to stop the Void now. And that's where I think they went wrong with the with Siege. But, I mean, Dark Reign was cool when you had Norman Osborn's Dark Avengers, and you had, like, his Dark Superheroes and stuff. I mean, you had some cool stuff going on, you know, with like, the Marvel community at the time. But I think that with Bucky Barnes was this character where Ed Brubaker came along and said, I want to bring back Bucky Barnes.
Yeah.
Bucky Barnes is a staple of Captain America's history, but how do we do it? And so he says, okay, the Winter Soldier, like, he's just been a spy for the government, for the Russian government for the last, 60 years, whatever it is, and they thaw him out once in a while, so he's only aged like 5 years, whatever.
Right.
And then, and then you have this awesome story play out, which basically just revolves around, like, Sharon Carter and Nick Fury and Captain America. That's pretty much it.
And the Falcon. Falcon plays...
Okay. The Falcon was on the sidelines cheering with his pom-pom saying, go, Steve Rogers, go. Like, that was basically it. But then you have, like, this really, really cool story. And Bucky Barnes just goes away. And it's like, okay, what do we do with Bucky Barnes after this? Like, when you look at the assassination of Captain America, like, he was just there. Like, the only real part that he had is he was like, I'm here on Nick Fury's orders because somebody's probably going to try to kill Captain America. And then it's like, oh my God, Captain America got shot. Let's chase the person down. Like, that's basically it. Like, that's his role in the story.
Well, his role is to, like, replace Captain America. Like,
but I'm talking about, like, in that one small story. He didn't need to be there. They just put him in there because he was going to be Captain America eventually. Yeah. But I was initially hoping, to be honest, if I can, to be honest here, my initial hope, whose phone is that? Really? We're in a professional work environment here, and you've got your cell phone just ringing off the chain.
You're on the clock, my friend.
You're on the clock, man. Damn it, Dave. But anyway, so I was really hoping initially that it was going to be the Punisher. I was hoping it would be Frank
Castle. I was kind of hoping for that too, because I was like, man, what a great way to make the Punisher relevant again.
Yeah, he hasn't been relevant since the 90s.
But they also, like, Punisher books don't sell, and I think Marvel's kind of learned that like no one wants to read the Punisher because he's like, he doesn't work in the Marvel universe anymore because he would kill Kingpin, he would kill Venom, he would kill everything, like. And if you show those stories where he tries to do that and he fails, then what's the point of reading those damn books? So it's a catch-22. And even, like, I thought it was going to be a great send-off, and it turned into a story that everyone loves, but I think is retarded. And it is the story where after Norman Osborn takes over, Punisher tries to kill the Dark Avengers and winds up getting cut to death by Daken, a.k.a. Wolverine, Dark Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
No, I thought that was Wolverine's son.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying, like, it's like Wolverine, like James Howlett Wolverine.
Yeah, no. It's Wolverine's son, but, like, Norman Osborn hired him to become a member of the Dark Avengers, or the New Avengers, or whatever. And they called him Wolverine, but,
Yeah.
But anyway, Daken kills Punisher, and then, like, monsters put him back to life and call him Frankencastle, and like he goes around, and like people loved that story. And I guess it's like, if you want to see like Werewolf by Night and Morbius and like Man-Thing, then good for you, and that makes sense. But like if you want to read a story about Punisher killing people, that's not a comic.
No, Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe is the one you want to read if you want to read about Punisher killing people.
Such a depressing comic.
It was, but it was so funny too at the same time.
You know, that was written by Ennis, right? That was like one of Garth Ennis' first like mainstream comics was Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe.
Hell, man, he did a great way to do it. I mean, go ahead.
That I see about Punisher is like he just uses regular bullets. Like, there's nothing like magical about him. There's nothing super powered about him. So there's no way he can kill anybody, really.
Well, I mean,
unless they don't have superpowers.
The Punisher is a cool character. The Punisher is a cool character to me because he's just freaking crazy. Like he just kills every villain he sees.
Yeah, he's just
It just doesn't seem like he would be capable of being the guy that goes out into the universe and assassinates everybody without giving him something special to do it with.
Yeah.
oh no, well, like Nick Fury used gamma irradiated bullets, and Punisher throughout Original Sin points out like he's the guy who identifies how Nick Fury kills them and
Mm-hmm.
in what methods, and he's like, there's only 4 people in the universe who can do this, and I'm one of them. So
Yeah.
it's like, I thought that was kind of like his resume for being the intercosmic character that's going to kill everybody. And I think the only reason why they didn't go with Punisher and instead went with Winter Soldier was because Punisher they could do anything with at any point.
Yeah.
They're like, we have Punisher, we but with Winter Soldier, like, we resurrected a long dead character, we made a big fanfare about him, and now we're not doing anything with him. We have to keep using this character, or there's really like only one good story that we could have told with him. It's like bringing back Jason Todd. Like, sure, Under the Red Hood was cool, but have any good Jason Todd stories been told after that? And then, is Under the Red Hood good enough to bring back Jason Todd and undo what happened? And that's more of a generic question. Like, I say no, but with Bucky Barnes, like, is Winter Soldier and all the stories that he's featured in worth bringing Bucky back to life? I say yes, because I think that, like, there's that miniseries or whatever with Winter Soldier from Marvel now, and that was pretty badass.
Yeah.
That was, like, I think a prequel that showed, like, the Winter Soldier being the Winter Soldier and, like, killing people, like, on contract, and I'm like, that's cool. And of course, at the end of Original Sin number 8, they reveal that there's going to be an ongoing series, or maybe a miniseries, probably the last 11 issues, of Bucky Barnes doing what Nick Fury did, and I think that's awesome. I'll read the first issue and see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's why I say, like, I thought Bucky Barnes was obviously the right choice. And touching back on your whole miniseries of Marvel Now, that was the thing that a lot of people wanted to see.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted to see what went on with Bucky Barnes. You know, what went on with all this, because you didn't see that. All you knew was that Bucky Barnes just coming back periodically during the Cold War and killing people, and then he was coming back after the Cold War and killing people, and all you knew was that the Russians were doing it. But this gave us, like, that whole backstory, like what happened, like the whole mind control process that he underwent. Like, it fills in all those gaps.
Yeah.
And that's what people liked, and I think that's why the story was so cool, because it was just general curiosity with
It
regards
was
to, like, the
also
whole Bucky
competently
Barnes
written,
thing.
and it looked great.
Yeah. It was competently written. Yes.
Well, I mean,
was,
like,
but...
what I mean by that, I don't mean to disparage the writer of Winter Soldier. I just mean, like, if it is at least competently written, then it will be cool. Like, then it will be a good story, because the stories write themselves.
Yeah. I think it'll be written pretty well. I mean, I think Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier #1, will be written pretty well. And I think that going forward, it'll be pretty good. The question is, like, what are they going to do with it? And that ultimately, I think, is a big deal here, because it's one thing for people to be psyched up and to be like, yes, Bucky Barnes is going to be the man on the wall. He's going to be the lone man that stands between all these forces. Because remember, like, for those of you guys who haven't been keeping up on Original Sin, what Nick Fury explicitly tells us is, like Sal said, he'd been fighting forces, but all of the conflicts that we had ever seen involving Earthbound heroes in the Marvel Universe were the ones that Nick Fury just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. Like, that's just, those are the ones that just got through. And that's what he says, is like you can't imagine the number of things that I've killed, the number of, like, aliens that I've killed, and the number of forces that I've stopped, that you guys just couldn't even dream up. Like, it's
just so you could have an all-out Skrull invasion. Like,
yeah.
Trust me, you thought Secret Invasion was bad? Like, imagine the Secret Invasion on top of a giant living planet attacking Earth.
Oh, God, dude. I can't wait to discuss Secret Invasion. Like, 95%, I think he said something like 95% of the Earth's population were Skrulls before they finally managed to stop it and, like, defeat the Skrulls. Yeah, it was nuts. And the way it ended was, it was stupid. It was like...
It was awful, because, like, they
like
could have done
Deadpool.
something really cool, and they kept implying that they were going to. Because, like, you saw all of those Embrace Change posters where it was, like, a Skrull child between 2 other children, and they're, like, laughing and playing, and you're like... It's, like, propaganda posters to show you that, like, the Skrulls are here to stay, and they're going to be members of humanity's world. And then at the end, they have a fight in Central Park, and then they just go away.
Yeah,
I think
here's
the
all the
lead up
information
could have
on the
been
Skrulls.
longer, and the actual battle could have been longer. There should have been multiple battles.
Yeah.
Because if the Skrulls really infiltrated Earth like that and took over 95% of the population, it would take a lot longer to convince them to leave.
Yeah.
Well,
because 95% of the world's population is, like, what, 6 billion people?
It'd been going on for a long time. I don't know if 95% is the exact number, but it was up there. It was like 80% or better.
It was a lot of people. It was weird.
And they've been doing it since the House of M, I think. When the House of M was reinstated back to normal is when they first started replacing people. And they started with, like, government officials and superheroes. They started with the Illuminati, didn't they? Like, the Illuminati showed up and said, like, don't bring your problems here. And then they copied them and sent them back.
Well, yeah, the idea, I guess, there was in the original Bendis and Chung Illuminati miniseries, the Illuminati went to the Skrull homeworld, they got captured, their DNA was stolen, and because it was each representative of every power set from the Marvel Universe, they got the whole gamut, and then extracted their DNA, and then just experimented with it until the Secret Invasion hit. Yeah. Until Galactus ate it. Like, because it was really like, they started cloning Reed Richards clones, they started cloning, like, it was crazy. Yeah. It was actually kind of grotesque in the inhumanity of it all.
But, I mean, hell, like when Hank Pym, I think, when Hank Pym turns out to be a Skrull and shoots Reed Richards and, like, rematerializes him or whatever. Yeah, he's just like this. Like he looks like T-1000 from
it's awesome.
From Terminator 2. He's like all spread everywhere and all crazy.
That was crazy, and then they pinned him down too like that. So like he was all like stretched out on the table so that he couldn't like.
He couldn't reconstitute himself. He's just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is like what I noticed when I was reading through it. I think it was like a month ago that I finished reading it, I noticed that some of them were even brainwashed to not even know they were Skrulls until the time came when they needed to be activated, like sleeper agents almost.
Yeah.
Like
that was God, what was her name, man? They made that crappy movie about her. It was a Daredevil. It was the first one they found out was a Skrull.
Elektra?
Elektra, yeah. Elektra was the first one they realized was a Skrull.
Yep.
And then that's when they realized, oh my God, the Skrulls are invading. And then it was like, well, they've been here for like a long time.
Yeah. I really thought that they were going to be like, Elektra's been a Skrull since she died in Frank Miller's run. I know my comic book guy, Steve from Funny Books, was like, please, because there's never been a good Elektra story since then. And it'd be awesome to keep her dead and make that story have more weight. And I'm like, yes. They also should have made Hank Pym a Skrull since he became Yellow Jacket and hit Janet Van Dyne.
Oh my God.
That way, you wouldn't have to worry about him being a wife beater anymore. But you didn't do that either. You could have done any number of things with that, but all they did was bring back Mockingbird for a few days.
Yeah.
All right. So, what I think about the whole Hank Pym hitting his wife thing is that kind of centers, or at least assists centering the Marvel Universe in reality, because that kind of stuff happens with normal people. Well, not saying that a superhero should, but
but there's a lot of ways to like ground it.
Marvel isn't DC.
No.
Marvel's heroes aren't 100% perfect 100% of the time.
Neither are DC's superheroes anymore, man.
Well, okay. Before New 52 reboots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even then, what was it? Superman killed Zod in the comics before New 52, and then he became Crime Buster, and it was but he felt really bad about it. And,
but see, DC retcons all that like a week later.
Anyway,
so,
yeah, I see what you're saying. Like Marvel humanizes their characters. I think that most of the Marvel fans, I know that I like Marvel because it is much more grounded in reality. Mm-hmm. But as I get older, I want my stories to be more complicated or at least more intricate. If you're gonna make these comics set against the backsplash of reality, or if you're going to put it against what is happening today, make it more allegorical, then you have to go the full distance. If you're going to have a secret invasion, explain what happens afterwards. Don't just say, well, that's over, and now we're doing this now.
Did you ever read Mighty Avengers?
Yeah.
Because
which one? Dan Slott's or Bendis's?
Well, I have the whole collection.
Oh.
It didn't really specify while I was reading it who was writing it.
Okay, here's the question. Was Iron Man in charge, or was Hank Pym as the Wasp in charge?
Both.
Okay.
Then, the run went from Iron Man to, Hank Pym, Wasp, kind of stuff later. But like in that story, people were all saying, "Oh, you were a Skrull? Does that mean like you've been a Skrull since you hit your wife?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, that was me.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that."
But
Yeah.
So the thing is like that kind of like I said before, grounds it in reality, and that's what I like. Like, yeah, he made a mistake, and he's regretting his mistake.
That's true.
And it's driven him crazy, obviously, because he goes through that whole phase in Mighty Avengers where
he
dresses up like the Wasp and makes that,
Yocasta.
crazy Yocasta, like, clone of his wife, and they end up making out, and, like, he gives her, like, human arms and legs eventually, and
really
starts
creepy.
making her into a human. Yeah, it's really weird.
Yep.
But people go crazy like that sometimes.
Yeah, well, man, people go crazy and they beat
if
their
they're
wives
superheroes, they go crazy for a superhero. Like they do crazy. I mean, like they do comparable crazy things, but in this fantastical way. Yeah, I feel like you can make a character. I feel like it's too far, and like I say that because like if you read Preacher, there's a character who hits a woman, and that's the linchpin for the whole reason why that character is irredeemable. Like no one he is unforgivable because he hit a woman.
Yeah.
And if you believe that, then you can never sympathize with Hank Pym again.
Oh no.
And it doesn't matter what he does, how heroic he can be. So why give him that handicap if you're gonna kill Wolverine tomorrow and then bring him back next year? Like, if you can do anything, and you can undo or change anything, do that so at least you can make Hank Pym heroic again. So you don't have to make Scott Lang your first Ant-Man movie. Because you know that Scott Lang is Ant-Man because it's hard to explain Hank Pym and extricate himself from the wife-beating plot.
Well, but that's the problem that I have. Like, there's a lot of ways that you can ground characters and make them like more gritty and put them like in the real world. Like, there's a lot of ways you can like that's why Civil War was so popular, because it was a reflection of real world events. You don't need to have a comic book character hit his wife in order to say like here's a way for you to identify with him, because I've never hit a woman. Well, when I was a kid maybe, but like as an adult, as like a grown man, conscious of consequences for actions. Like I've never like put my hands on a woman, so it's not like, well, I identify with Hank Pym. Sure, he beat his wife, but hey, we all do that every once in a while.
But we all do regrettable things.
I'm not saying that people are forgivable for doing that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But,
no, I know. You're devil's advocating the idea that like people are flawed and our heroes should be flawed, and I agree with that. Let's get in. Let's talk a little bit more about Original Sin, and then move on, because I think we should keep it.
Just
keep going.
Good job being Benny for us.
Thank you. Okay, so Original Sin wrapped up. Ultimate thoughts on Original Sin? Like, how did it fare as an epic, as a Marvel event?
I was thinking about this when I got done reading it. It felt to me like Empire Strikes Back. Like, you have, like, all these cool things that happen with these different characters and stuff. Like, Gamora's in it. Okay, whatever. Gamora hasn't mattered since, like, Annihilation Conquest.
There's no reason. She's in that because they had a movie with her in it. Like, that there was one fewer characters in that until the movie did well. And then they were put Gamora in there.
Well, Gamora is the most skilled assassin in the Marvel universe. Why does what goes on planet Earth matter to her? Unless there's like somebody who's just as good as she is. Like, okay, maybe I'll check this person out. But it's like, surely there's like a million things she could be off doing.
Oh, and she says that in the book. She's like, what do you, like, I don't care about what you're saying. None of you people make any sense. You're all crazy. I don't want anything to do with it.
That's what Rocket Raccoon says.
There's no way she would protect the Earth.
Yeah, Rocket Raccoon says that. Like, Rocket Raccoon, one of the coolest encounters is Rocket Raccoon and the Punisher.
Yeah.
And the Punisher's got this huge gun, and like he looks at him, he was like, "What are you, a raccoon?" And he was like, "Watch it."
Yeah, I want to see that one shot. I want to see Rocket and Punisher on like a covert mission.
Yes, that would be like one of the most bought comics if they had that. Like they need to have like a miniseries, like a 7-issue miniseries.
I would read that.
I would. The Punisher and Rocket Raccoon. But
you would just the image is just a raccoon skull.
Oh God. A raccoon skull.
Well, like a cartoon version of it, but like the
Oh,
Punisher
yeah.
logo, but it's a raccoon skull.
Yeah, man.
Like, that's the book.
Somebody needs to make that. If any of you guys here in the chat are good on Photoshop, make
Yeah.
that shit. Like, I want to see that.
Make
like
a Rocket Raccoon
make
Punisher.
a Rocket Raccoon Punisher skull.
Or actually don't, and I'll make a shirt of it.
Dude, oh yeah, make a shirt. Yeah, make a
I
picture
will
of that.
put
We'll
Tiffany
see.
to
Or
work.
have somebody in the chat make a shirt
Yeah,
logo for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be awesome. But yeah, so it's interesting. You know, there were all these things happening, all these different characters, so on and so forth. And then Original Sin comes along, and Original Sin says, okay, hey, look, there's a lot of stuff that's going to change, and a lot of things that we need to clear up. One, the old Nick Fury's got to go away. So this guy's literally chained to the moon, like he's attached to the moon by a chain, and he's not going anywhere. So shy of somebody coming along and cutting off the chain, which it seemed like a conventional chain. It seemed like a normal chain.
I think it's just a visualization of like a cosmic chain. I think he's put there. I think that's like one of the last wishes of the Watcher is that like he is tethered. I mean, like, because otherwise, like, how does he breathe? Like, you know, like it, because the Watcher's moon base is gone. So
Yeah.
like, I loved that element of Nick Fury. I think it's so great because like you saw him and the Watcher kind of come to blows a little bit, where like the Watcher is like judging Nick Fury for having been this unethical monster, more or less. Like he's justified it, but at the same time he's also like murdered countless people and like toppled governments and destroyed races. I'm sure like he's been a monster, more realistically speaking.
Yeah.
And the Nick Fury is like, well, what do you know? Like, all you do is watch, and I act. Like, that's the fundamental difference between like Nick Fury and the Watcher are two polar opposites. The Watcher watches, and Nick Fury acts. And ultimately, it's Nick Fury's assassination of the Punisher, or I'm sorry, Nick Fury's assassination of the Watcher, which makes Nick Fury earn the punishment of being the Watcher, of replacing the Watcher,
of not being
like,
able to act.
and he can never act. Like, that's kind of cool. I also thought, I don't think the art said this, but I wish it was awesome. What would have been an amazing moment is if Nick Fury got his eye back, but instead of it being his eye, it was the Watcher's eye.
That was something that would have been cool. All right, here's something I don't understand. All right,
Yeah.
so they're wrapping things up.
Yep.
Why do I care that the Midas Empire is back?
Oh, you don't.
Like, I
and
don't.
neither does anybody else.
Yeah, she was like, well, the Midas Empire has returned. I was like, I don't give a damn, and I just went to the next page.
First of all, Exterminatrix, I've never heard of you before. Second of all, you sound like a rejected Terminator. Third of all, fuck you, I don't care about this stupid character.
Yeah.
Midas looks like friggin' the Thing.
He
okay?
does, man.
So don't even talk to me about this crappy character. And you know what, Jason Aaron? Stop trying to make the Orb happen. It's not gonna happen.
Oh, God.
The Orb is a stupid character that I didn't even see until, surprise, surprise, Astonishing Spider-Man and Wolverine, which was written by Jason Aaron. So Jason Aaron resurrects the Orb from Z status and then puts him out there and says, like, don't worry, everybody, the Orb is back. You can play with him as much as you want. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
So then he retcons in the Orb being, like, instrumental in this story that he doesn't really fit in at all. And what does he do? He gets infected by one of the Watcher's eyes.
God, man.
And so now he has two eyes. One is his giant eye head. The other one is a giant Watcher eye in his chest. And he, like, goes to people's houses and watches them do terrible things. Number one, nobody cares. Number two, no writer's going to do anything with that. So, sorry, Jason Aaron, it's not going to happen. Nobody cares about the Orb.
No, I didn't care. Like, I was reading the comic, and, like, Nick Fury's trying to get away. Like, he's being beat up by the mindless ones, and he was like, I've got to do whatever it is before I die or something. And he's, like, dragging along, then the Orb shows up, and I was like, huh, I forgot about him.
Oh, yeah, the Orb.
Like, I don't care about the Orb.
It was like
Why do I
every
care about
time...
him?
It was like every time the Orb is put off the table, it's like, oh, they beat him, yay. He comes back, as if to say, like, Jason Aaron being like, hey, I know you don't care about the Orb, but I really do, and I'm using him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was... I thought, I mean, obviously there's a lot of unanswered questions. The number one unanswered question that everybody has is, why can't Thor lift his hammer? Which I think...
What did he say?
Yeah, what did he say? That's a question I think they're going to answer with Thor issue number 1 in October. I think it comes out in October, doesn't it?
Yep, so does Bucky Barnes' Winter Soldier, so both those books are going to come out.
So we've got to wait a month to find out what in the heck it was. Because I'd be, in all honesty, Marvel mightn't do this, but I'd be kind of shocked if they did. But Marvel might explain it beforehand. But I don't know why they would. I don't know why Marvel would explain that.
I don't even think they're going to do it then. I think they're going to wait wait. I think they're going to do a Thor event.
Oh God, they don't. Okay, they don't need to.
I know.
Marvel needs to make a decision. Marvel needs to say, here's what we're going to do. Either we're going to have a female Thor who's going to be Thor forevermore, and Thor Odin's son is just going to be carrying around a battle axe, or they need to say, like, we're going to have her just play Thor for a little while, and then we're going to bring back, like, Thor Odin's son. They need to make a decision on that.
Thor will be Thor again before Avengers 2 comes out.
See, that'd be a shame, because Avengers 2 comes out in May. I don't want to see them introduce a new... Because I think that a female Thor is actually a pretty cool idea. Like, them having, like... They'll actually have good writing and a good story. Because they've done, like, female versions of Thor in the past, but they've never been really, really good. And in my opinion, they should have used Sif to do the female version of Thor.
Yes!
But nonetheless, be that as it may, the fact is they've introduced a new female version of Thor. And... I want to see them explain in Thor issue number 1, what it was that Nick Fury said to Thor where he couldn't wield his hammer anymore, because at the end of the comic, like, they're flying off, and Scott Lang's like, did we forget somebody? And Thor's sitting there struggling to pull his hammer off the moon.
That's so funny. He spends the whole rest of the event, he spends like
hammer.
2 issues trying to lift that hammer. It's like...
Well, that's
what I would like to see out of what they're going to do with the female Thor is maybe like they did with... what was his name? The horse Thor.
That's Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill.
The horse.
Yes.
The horse Thor.
Yeah. Well, like.
Yeah, that's
you get what I was saying.
That's what it looks like.
It's a yellow horse. Humanoid. But like, Odin made him his own hammer to use the powers of Thor in his own way. So, like, maybe if they gave her some sort of, like, mystical weapon that only she could use.
No, she's supposed to have Thor's hammer.
Well, no, but, like, I'm talking about later, when Thor gets his powers back.
Okay.
Like, they do a little mini-series or, like, a certain amount of issues with her, and instead of sweeping her off to the side, if people like her, and she's a good character, keep her around like Beta Ray Bill.
Right.
And do something else with her elsewhere.
Right.
Okay,
give her her own series.
Here's the problem.
Something like that.
They're also doing an Angela series where she's going to be like the Bucky character. She's going to be Asgard's assassin.
Yeah?
Man,
which is fine. Like, do something with the character. You spent probably a lot of money on her.
Man, I don't care about Angela.
No,
like we've already got Gamora. Why do we need Angela? We have Gamora. Gamora is the best assassin in all of Marvel Comics. Why do we need Gamora's the best assassin. Why do we need Angela? Like I don't care about Angela. She was cool in Spawn, whatever. Like I don't care about her.
No, it was a Neil Gaiman deal. Neil Gaiman owned Angela. Like he owned 50% of Angela, and then he eventually bought out all of Angela, and then he owned the character and he sold it to Marvel, but in exchange he got to write and be part of the Miracle Man stories. Like, Angela's part of Neil Gaiman's deal with Marvel to write and continue Marvel Man.
Oh God, I hope that David Harrison guy isn't right. Let me tell you something. If Natalie Portman's character becomes the new Thor, dude, I'm gonna scream. Like if they come out, because she already died, didn't she? I mean, she was there during Civil War, but yeah, I thought Jane Foster was dead.
Probably. I don't know.
We haven't heard from her. So, like, she was in Civil War for like 1 issue, and it was like Dr. Foster. She was in Civil War? Yeah.
Oh, she was in Frontline.
No, she was in Civil War proper.
Really?
There was a point in Civil War when Punisher, after Spider-Man gets beat up by Jack-O-Lantern and somebody else.
She's in the sewer?
And shit, yeah.
No. Punisher rescues... no, she's not in the sewer. Punisher rescues Spider-Man and then takes him back to the Secret Avengers headquarters. Yeah. And then Captain America shouts for Dr. Foster and somebody else.
Oh,
and that's
so
it.
she's the doctor
it's just like,
bandages him
That's
up?
right.
Yeah,
but
it's
you
like
know,
one
Mark
panel.
doesn't care about continuity, so she probably is dead, and he just put her in there anyway.
Probably. I mean, I don't care about her character too much, but I don't want to see her be Thor because she hasn't had a point since like I don't know, what is it? Thor, no, what am I thinking of? You had Thor Volume 1, and then you had Thor, what was the second volume of Thor called?
I don't know.
Well, it was the mid-90s volume, mid-90s Thor. And she hasn't been relevant since then.
No.
And so, like, she hasn't mattered. So nobody cares about Jane Foster being Thor. I want to see somebody unique, somebody interesting that I care about.
So
yeah, well, they did, like, there's Valkyrie. Like, if you want to do something interesting with Valkyrie, just write her well.
Valkyrie.
Like, you have one.
Okay. Valkyrie.
I don't know, like I mean, like that. She's female Thor.
She is, but she's not. They might do that. I don't. I have a feeling.
Well, they won't do it because they already made this new Thor. Like, they're not going to make Valkyrie. If anything, they'll kill her so that they can make female Thor more relevant. But, like,
Probably.
you already have 2 superfluous female Thors. You have 3. You have Angela, you have Valkyrie, and you have Sif. 3 Asgardian females who are as powerful or could be as powerful as Thor. And they had to make another one.
Well, I have a feeling that Marvel's going to do something dumb with the new Thor.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. It's going to build up to something fantastic. And then issue number 1 is going to come out. And it's going to be like some homeless chick who just got the power of Thor or something silly like that. Like, it's just going to be like, all right.
I really hope they don't play around with Thor's character up until they have to end the actor who plays Thor's contract.
Oh, Chris Hemsworth?
Because, like if this female Thor doesn't catch on and Marvel's like, well, we can't swap her, Thor out with a female now when that contract ends, let's try something else with maybe another man or like another person, or let's say, I don't know, Captain America Thor's hammer for a while and see how that goes, or just like stupid stuff.
If you guys want a really funny spoiler for Avengers 2 regarding that, I will tell it to you.
Okay, I'm down. Hey,
there's
going to be spoilers, guys, so mute this part if you don't want to hear it.
There's a scene in Avengers 2. Hang on a minute. Tiffany, do you care? Okay. There's a scene in Avengers 2 where a bunch of characters are hanging out. Thor, Tony Stark, Jim Rhodes, Captain America, and I think one other person.
Jim Rhodes? I've never heard him referred to as Jim Rhodes.
Rhodey? Well, his name's Jim Rhodes.
You mean Rhodey? Like James Rhodes?
Yeah, James Rhodes,
War
James
Machine?
Rhodey Rhodes.
Any number of normal names that people use except for Jim Rhodes? Who calls him Jim Rhodes? Like
David Michelini calls him Jim Rhodes.
Yeah, Jim is short for James.
I'm just messing around, man.
Anyway, so they're all hanging out, and they're all kind of drinking and having a good time, and then Thor puts his hammer down, and then everybody takes a crack at trying to lift it.
Yeah. Oh, well, we've already talked about this, I think, before you came on the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, no, we've already spoiled that.
Oh, okay.
And Captain America can almost pick it up.
You can almost pick it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Captain America was one of 5 people who could lift Thor's hammer. Now, I think actually we talked about this with Sal. It was during the Superman, and it was the DC Avengers crossover. Yeah, and Superman was able to lift his hammer.
Yeah, but only when when Odin let him.
Yeah.
Because afterwards, after the threat of Krona is defeated, Superman can't lift it again.
Yeah. Which is okay. Here's a good question that I want to ask. I think we may have asked this last time, but somebody asked this question on Reddit. If Thor is holding his hammer, can you pick up Thor?
Yes, because I assume that the hammer goes where Thor is. You can't wield the hammer, but you can wield Thor. You could pick him up, and as long as he's wielding Mjolnir, that's okay. But you can't if you grabbed Thor's hand holding Mjolnir, you couldn't make it go where you want it to go.
Well, because Rob, there has to be a time in the comics where Thor has been holding his hammer, and he's been punched up against a wall or through a wall or in his face.
I haven't read every single comic book ever, but I've never seen an instance with Thor where somebody has picked up Thor while he had his hammer in his hand.
Yeah.
At all. Now, that doesn't mean they can't punch him, they can't hit him, but I've never seen where Thor has been picked up while he's wielding his hammer. I've never seen. I don't ever recall seeing that.
To me, it just makes sense that you could pick him up if you could punch him away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just makes sense because physics.
Okay, so can we agree for the most part that Original Sin was not a terrible event? That it wasn't terrible. It was pretty good. It had some good moments up and down, but it leaves a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. It could have been 4 issues shorter.
It could have. There were a couple points that seemed like
I think it seems like 900 pages of tie-ins is a little heavy.
Oh, I don't read the tie-ins, and it was great. It was
great with no tie-ins. The whole Original Sin event is 50-something issues. Which, when we talk about Original Sin, we're not going to be doing the tie-ins just because we're pressed for time and we got to do Infinity
Oh
Gauntlet
yeah.
because I'm tired of waiting on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I want to do Infinity Gauntlet, and the only reason I'm even doing Original Sin now is because like people are asking questions and people want to know stuff about it, so that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here to answer questions, and so I'll do Original Sin. But I want to do Infinity Gauntlet and start moving forward in like the Marvel universe with like stories and stuff, and so
Yeah.
like. I think Original Sin was pretty decent. Again, a lot of unanswered questions. I think Axis, we're going to get a lot of questions answered. The new solo stories, you know, the new Bucky Barnes, The Winter Soldier, #1. I definitely want to get my hands on that one because that one looks like it's going to be really good.
Yes.
Thor #1, I think is going to answer a lot of questions about Thor. Aside from that, I mean, I think that Nick Fury will just kind of linger on. I think periodically they'll touch on him or something like that, but there's not going to be a whole lot of. Oh God, okay. I'm with Tevye. Tevye said that they thought that the Universal Church of Truth was going to come back. No,
Yeah.
Kenji said that. Kenji said they thought the Universal Truth was. I was so hoping that. Like the Orb or the Watcher or somebody was going to be like, well, the Universal Church of Truth has always been here. They've just been on like the far side of the universe gathering forces again. Like that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Because I mean, with the Thanos revelation, like Adam Warlock's back, and so if Adam Warlock's back, the Magus is back. And so I'm pretty psyched. But nonetheless, so moving on. So The Rock has been cast to play Black Adam in the DC universe. Now,
I would say perfect casting.
As our resident DC guys, because I don't know hardly anything about DC, your thoughts?
Me?
In general, either one of you.
All right. Yeah. I mean, like, here's the thing. I actually tweeted about this yesterday, I think. I was like, so apparently The Rock has really, really wanted to be a superhero. He's really wanted to get involved in some superhero franchise. And I heard that he basically had his pick. Like, The Rock could have been Shazam or Black Adam. And ultimately, he was cast as Black Adam, which means he chose to be Black Adam. At least as far as the rumors are concerned. I think that The Rock looks more like Black Adam than he looks like Shazam, so I'm fine with that. It's too bad because I think that The Rock can play hokey super really great. I'm thinking specifically of that time when he was on SNL and he played Clark Kent Superman. If you haven't seen it, it's an amazing sketch.
It was pretty funny.
The idea is that like everyone knows that Clark Kent is Superman because Clark Kent is gigantic with huge biceps. He doesn't really fit his outfits, and they let him think that people are fooled. So he's like, and he also writes terrible articles. Like he can't really write because he's so busy being Superman. Like when he gets back, he's like, "Don't worry, Chief, I got the article written right here. Like Superman saves day." Like that's all he wrote. So great sketch. I think that he could totally play a Shazam where he's like, "Hello, citizen. Like I'm a 12-year-old boy, but this is what I think an adult would sound like." Jiminy Jillikers. Like, that'd be great.
I don't know. I feel like he plays a darker role better.
The only time I've ever seen him play a darker role in real life is Doom, and that movie's balls. So.
Oh yeah, no, but like him as the evil guy in that, like when he really starts to turn evil.
Yeah,
like,
he was.
Black Adam's kind of that. Like he's like the opposite to Shazam, I know, but he's still really hokey.
Yes, well he looks hokey.
And like, yeah.
I mean, he looks like anti-Shazam. It's silly.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I always found funny about DC Comics is DC's like, okay, we need to not only establish that this guy's the bad guy just because of the fact that he's just like destroying planets, but we have to establish he's the bad guy because he looks the exact opposite. Like we've basically just inverted the colors of the other guy and put them on this dude. And it's like, okay, like we've got giant purple letters over this guy's head saying he's a bad guy. Yep. You know, because like you need
Sinestro.
That. Yeah.
Like, you didn't know Sinestro was going to turn out to be a bad guy.
The guy looks sinister.
That his name is Bad Guy.
Yeah, like it's sinister basically. You know, you've got like a sinister sounding name. Like he's different colored from like everybody else. Like he's yellowed with like a yellow power
Mr.
ring.
Sinister.
Yeah, like you could just look at the guy and be like, okay, that guy's obviously gonna be a bad guy. And then DC's like, in case you didn't know, Sinestro's evil. It's like, okay, we knew that. Whatever, just get on with it. But that's been my experience with the DC. DC's terrible about hand-holding when it comes to like telling people that somebody's a bad guy. But,
yeah.
If I can kind of sidetrack the conversation like I always do, I don't like DC's continuity. No matter how much I research it, it just doesn't appeal to me. What I like is DC's individual stories that they hand off to old authors to obviously be put into a graphic novel. Their single issues and their continuity always seem like they're going to be terrible because they retcon like every other week.
Yeah.
Whereas Marvel at least finds a clever way to retcon things. DC is just like, no, we're going to have a Flash event and he's going to travel back in time and change all this stuff and it's going to cause a tear in time and all these made up like physics equations and all this garbage that doesn't make any sense and it's all reset now. Whereas Marvel at least like does avenge like Secret Invasion or Civil War to like try to at least move their universe in the right direction again and not have to completely exclude everything that just happened in the last year.
Yeah.
Well, from what you guys explained to me, it sounds like DC knows that. Like DC's like, okay, look, I mean, like everything's so screwed up right now. Like, how do we fix this? And so they just keep like retconning stuff over and over and over again, and it's just it's crazy. Like with Marvel, I only know of maybe a handful of retcons that Marvel has done, like Marvel wide, like involving everybody in the Marvel community. You've got Thanos in the heart of the universe, where he basically eliminated the entire universe, and then brought it back, and that changed a few things. You got the Secret Invasion, where they said, well, Civil War didn't happen because they were all Skrulls, so whatever. Let's see, you've got the Marvel Now reboot.
Well, even then, like Marvel, like there are very few times when Marvel just pulls a DC where they say, the things that you remember aren't happening anymore. And this is going to be something else. Where they just pull the brakes and they just say, no.
Yeah.
It's this now. DC does that every time they have a crisis. We're like, stop. Everything you knew is crap. This is what it is now. Yeah. Marvel's reboots are all like just status quo changing, but at least it's part of a long, winding story. But DC, like, their problem is, as you said, their approach is, how do we fix this? And the problem is it isn't broken. But they break it by trying to fix things that aren't broken. Superman isn't broken, but let's make him blue and electric. Batman isn't broken, but let's shatter his spine. Like, and those are 20-year-old examples, but it just shows you how long the DC editorial has thought we need to shake it up and change what's happening. And it's like, that sucks, because you have these characters that have been around for 80 years or 100 years, and like they're iconic and they're enduring and they have really simple origins because they're part of our mythology now. And like it's frustrating when they're like, well, we got to change it because new readers, or because it's too confusing. Like, no, it's not. And it doesn't require you to just throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because every time they were fighting the Seagulls and the Schusters, again, because the Seagulls and Schusters, the estates of one of the former creators of Superman, have been fighting to get the rights or to get money from DC forever. But every time the Schusters would sue DC would retell Superman's origin, and they would do it so that if they lost the legal battle, they'd have to give some piece of the rights, and usually that was Superboy, which was Superman's origin and his exploits as a boy. Like, that had to be given to the Schusters, and they could tell Superman stories about him when he was a kid and his origin, which is dumb, and they would never do that, and they haven't. But because of this legal entanglement that the Schusters and DC have been involved with for the last 50 years, they have to keep retelling Superman's original story. Like, you notice, like, every time, like the movie version, Birthright, the New 52 version, there's a version that's like post-crisis and pre-crisis, and there's like two other ones. There's the John Byrne Man of Steel era. Like, there were a number of times when you're like, wait, so Superman's father is still Jor-El, and he was still a baby, right? Like, that was on a doomed planet. Like, Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman sums it up perfectly, where it's like, doomed planet, orphan child, kindly couple. You get it. Like that is an origin story that you can never beat. I love Spider-Man to death, but nebbish teenager given radioactive superpowers by a spider can't hold a candle to the Superman origin. Now that's not to say that his origin isn't enduring and timeless and beautiful and great. I'm just saying that Superman's is the ultimate. Like,
well, and no matter how many times they tell the origin, people are gonna buy it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Like, well, it's always gonna be like, oh, well, this art is like 20 years old and there's been improvements. Let's retell the Superman story because everybody loves it because it's iconic.
Well, but every time they do it, they change something. They always change some aspect, and they make it a little bit more specific. They take away the mythological portion, and they make it like that's like Man of Steel. And I know I talk about it every episode, but let's talk about it right now. And that is the origin of him, where he's like, where we go to Krypton, and it's got dragons, and it looks like John Carter, and it's dumb.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why can't it just be a future Earth that's kind of green? Like, why can't it just look like the Emerald City, like it did 60 years ago? Like, why does it have to be like a planet with dinosaurs and like and those stupid like needles that you push against your face and they make your face and the impression? Like, why do we need all this garbage when the planet's doomed? Like, no one wants to watch Jor-El fight dragons. They want to see Superman fly. And the only reason why he can fly is because he comes from Krypton, and that's what matters. Is that there was this planet where he came from, and it blew up. The end. You don't need to spend 25 minutes making it specific. And that's DC's problem, is that they're like, well, we need to add all these details so that it's more ours, so that I can claim authorship of it. And then that's really the problem with DC's editorial, is that they're all trying to put their footprint on it, and Marvel doesn't care. Like, Marvel has great artists and great writers, and they've all put their own footprint on it, but it's all part of an ever-expansive story that never ends. So, like, with Marvel, it's a story that you can tell from the beginning to end. You could say, like, well, the Celestials came, the Eternals and the Inhumans, and blah, 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 all the way up to Original Sin. And it's pretty much one story. I mean, Rob, that's your channel, is you're telling, like, the ever-expansive, one linear story of Marvel. With and there are eras, there are highs and lows, and everybody kind of likes, like, they have their own personal affinity, and some of these creators of like Jack Kirby has his stamp, and Todd McFarlane has his, and Dan Slott's got his, and Brubaker, and Fraction and Aaron and everybody, but they're all contributing to a main zeitgeist. Whereas DC, which is actually more translatable to that idea, like, oh, it's this one story that's always been going on, it's enduring and everlasting, like Batman. His parents were killed, and he worked out really hard, and now he's Batman. End of story. Like, but
that was an amazing rant.
Thank you. Well, I'm not. Oh, but I'm not. Wait till I get going. You see the. That's my Princess Bride joke, but like,
man, when Benny isn't here, Sal gets out of control.
Sal, man, Sal loses total. Like, all semblance of self-control just went out the window with Sal.
I know. My ultimate point, if I can wrap it up, is just. The DC is always trying to say, like, that part's mine. I carved out my part right there. And you can see it because it changed right there. Like, I'm the guy who made Krypton like that. Or, like, Scott Snyder's Batman. I love his Batman, but Scott Snyder's like, I think I'm the guy who made it so that Bruce Wayne had an uncle, and he was part of the Red Hood gang. And, like, Bruce Wayne, like, gets to be Batman by being in a holographic projection of the cave, and it's like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what are you doing? And Snyder being like, that's my footprint. That's mine. And it's like, that doesn't matter. And that's, like, DC's whole problem. Is that, like, A, they think it's broken, and B, it's these greedy, creative people who are trying to put their thumbprint on something that will outlive them forever. It's their grasp at immortality. It's their reach for the chalice. Like, it's just, and it makes me crazy.
Yeah, but anyway. Marvel's not all that different. Like, for example, if I ask you the question, if I say, Sal, tell me who had the greatest run of all time in the history of Marvel Comics when it came to the X-Men. No, if I say who had the best X-Men, who would you say?
David Cockrum.
That's wrong. That's 100% wrong. David Cockrum, really?
David Cockrum. Well, and here's why. I don't give a rat's ass about the X-Men, and the only time the X-Men have looked cool is when David Cockrum drew them.
Okay, we're not talking necessarily about how they look. We're talking about legacies,
I know.
stories,
But like all
long-lasting
the
events.
stories are silly and they all run together. And
No
like,
way, man. If I walk up to anybody who's, for the most part, who's a Marvel fan, I say, who had the best run of X-Men in the history of
Chris
the Marvel
Claremont, they all
comics?
say
They're going to
Chris
say Chris Claremont. Everybody's going to say Chris Claremont.
I
If
think
I say
he's had a good run on X.
if I say give me the Fantastic Four, they're going to say Hickman. If
John
I
Byrne.
say okay, or John Byrne. If I say give me like the New Avengers, people are going to say Hickman's New Avengers Volume
No,
3.
Bendis.
No way. Bendis was good. Bendis was really, really good. But
Bendis
the problem,
told me a story I wanted to goddamn read. Hickman made me quit.
no, I think Hickman's run. I think New Avengers Volume 3. Hickman's run's pretty good.
It's DCing it up. It's ironic that they
No,
fought the
no,
Justice
I think it's very similar to the Future Foundation, which I loved,
Well,
and
but I
that's
didn't
one of
like
the
it
reasons why. Oh, okay. Well, that's one of the reasons why I like
the
Volume
first-
3.
The first arc was cool, but like the Valeria Richards Doctor Doom thing, I'm like, I don't know what's happening anymore. Like this is really dark and creepy.
But the fact is that in Marvel Comics, you have like these writers or artists, or sometimes writers and artists who just work together in such a way that they just solidify the fact that they are like the foremost, the best writers or artists, whatever, is when it came to characters. Like you have groups, or you have characters, or you have teams, or whatever the case may be, and you say, this guy here, you say Chris Claremont, X-Men, you say John Byrne, Fantastic Four, you say Christopher Priest, Deadpool, you say Hickman, New Avengers, whatever the case may be, or you say
Right.
Brian Michael Bendis, like Marvel and Avengers, or Mutants and Avengers because of like the House of M and everything. Anyway, you say like all these different things, but people basically like divvy it up. Now, whether the artists and the writers are intending to do that, whether or not Brian Michael Bendis sits down and says, I want to be the greatest writer ever in the history of Marvel, or
Yeah.
he says, I have got an awesome idea for a story, let's just see what happens, it's a coin toss. But the fact remains that you still have these people who sit down and they create stories and they solidify themselves as the greatest writers, or whatever the case may be, in Marvel Comics. And that's what you see. Like, you see these highs and lows. Like, you have Chris Claremont's X-Men, and then it's just bam, and the X-Men just hit a slope and stay there. They just stay down. And they just never come back up until Decimation. Then it's like, oh, cool.
Well, I mean,
and
like,
then it goes...
The X-Men was the highest grossing comic book of the decade of the 90s. Was X-Men #1 from Jim Lee and whoever the hell wrote it. That might have been Claremont.
The stories weren't great, but Claremont gave us Claremont gave us God Loves Man Kills, William Stryker. He gave us the Dark Phoenix Force, the Phoenix Force. He gave us Uncanny X-Men. Like, he gave us all these really, really cool stories that came along with the X-Men, the Blue Team, the Gold Team, so on and so forth. You had like Storm's team and Cyclops' team, and like all these really, really good events in the X-Men came out of.
Claremont did write the X-Men #1 from '91.
Okay, so we have like all these great runs of, or all these great stories coming out of the X-Men that were Chris Claremont. He's considered the guy for
Right,
X-Men.
but did you read X-Men and the End, books 1, 2, and 3 by Claremont?
See, what
Did you
had
read
happened?
X-Men Forever?
What had happened was with
Did you read X-Men Forever
Claremont.
by Chris Claremont, where he gets to tell his unblemished version of X-Men after he quit X-Men 1?
No, all right. Here's what you need to understand about those stories. All right, that was at a point in time when Chris Claremont was going out and he was walking away, and just, the fact remains is that at the end of the day, Chris Claremont is still really good when it comes to the X-Men. Like, he's the X-Men guy, even though like maybe some of his later stories became just became total atrocities. The fact remains that nonetheless, Chris Claremont is
he's the definitive X-Men writer.
He's a definitive X-Men guy, and that's the way it is. With Marvel Comics, it just happens that way. Brian Michael Bendis came along when, in all honesty, when Marvel needed him the most. Like when Marvel needed somebody to write just some damn good stories. Brian Michael Bendis came along and said, "I'm here to save the day."
Here's the thing, that
and he did. He made some amazing stories in Marvel.
I like Bendis's. I love Alias. I love his run on New Avengers. And here's a funny thing about Spider-Man, because like he's never written a 616 Spider-Man run. Like he's never had a run on original Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like his original Spider-Man. Like I don't like his Spider-Man 616. I think he's too much of a joke. I don't think I've ever read a better ongoing Spider-Man story than Bendis's Ultimate Spider-Man.
Really?
I've never responded to a Spider-Man book. And I love Spider-Man. I've read every issue of Spider-Man from every title ever.
I've seen a lot of comments in the chat actually about the Ultimate Universe. They're chatting about it.
Yeah, it's
in there, and everybody says like it's a train wreck and like Ultimatum was horrible and everything, but everybody says that Ultimate Spider-Man is one of the best Spider-Mans around.
It's never been. It has an unblemished record. Even Ultimatum.
And I
didn't like.
How many Spider-Man issues has Bendis had on that?
He's had 13 years.
Yeah, like it's been a long time.
I think it's 13 years.
Kraven's Last Hunt.
Another thing is
Kraven's Last Hunt is by J.M. DeMatteis. It's the story when Kraven the Hunter beats Spider-Man and then becomes Spider-Man and eats a room full of spiders. Yeah. And it's one of for me it was like, oh, this is awesome when I was a kid. I gave it to my girlfriend. It was like it was one of the first comics I ever gave her. I was like, read this. And she's like, what the hell is this? And anytime anyone sees it, they're like, what is this garbage? And I'm like, this is great, isn't it? And then I read it, and I'm like, oh no. It's not like I remember it. But, I want to do that. Like, we actually interviewed DeMatteis, who wrote it. Tiffany did, at Baltimore Comic Con last year. And he's so cool. And he wrote so many Spider-Man and other Marvel comics forever. Like, he wrote for Marvel, like, for 20 years. But, yeah, Kraven's Last Hunt doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
It's too bad. I think this brings us into our next topic.
Yeah.
But I want to comment. I think, before we move on, I think DC lacks direction in their universe as a whole as compared to Marvel. Marvel seems to keep all of their writers on a path, no matter what their specialty is.
Yep.
Claremont, X-Men, whoever's writing whichever book, they always limit them to doing certain things.
Yeah.
Whereas DC is kind of like, oh, well, just write whatever you want and we'll figure it out later, and then they end up having to retcon it every now and then.
That's a problem.
As far as the next topic goes, you were saying things are not as you remember them when you were a child, and we were going to talk about movies that we forced our parents to go to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Spawn.
I'll kick it off just by saying, like, we were talking about how, like, when we were younger, sometimes your folks have to take you to the movies, and I remember my dad is much older than most people's dads. He's been busy. And I remember when I was a kid, like he's never really been comfortable in any era. Like the 70s were the 80s were confusing, the 90s were too loud, and the 2000 and everything else is just a blur. Like he's never been comfortable in any decade. So I remember like when I was a kid, Three Ninjas came out. If anybody remembers Three Ninjas.
Yes, man.
Yeah.
Three Ninjas.
I saw Three Ninjas
It was Rocky, Colt, and Tum Tum. That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
You have like the memory, like your memory is just a library.
Yeah. Like it's like Dreamcatcher. It's like that guy in Dreamcatcher. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Okay, so
another terrible movie?
Yeah. So my point was going to be like Three Ninjas is Ninja Turtles meets Home Alone, and it's such a kids movie. It's like but I saw it as a pizza party with a bunch of other like 6th graders. And I remember like a few weeks later my dad was like, "Do you want to go see Three Ninjas?" And I'm like, "There's no way you are going to sit through this movie." Even at like 6th grade, I'm like, we're going to leave halfway through it because you're not going to be okay with these unsupervised children being terrors. And like that has been my experience going to movies that I want to go see with my parents. Like my folks are not nerds in any way. So like in 1997 when I was 14, we're down the shore, it's raining, there's nothing to do, there's a local cinema where we are down the shore, and we're like, and my mom's like, we got to go to the movies. That's the only thing I've got. That's all I've got in my bag of tricks. What are we going to go see? And of course, it's 1997 in like the summertime, so I'm like, we've got to go see Spawn. So we go see Spawn.
Michael Jai White.
With Michael Jai White, John Leguizamo as the clown, and with a soundtrack by Crystal Method and Filter and Marilyn Manson and Korn. It's a great soundtrack, by the way.
It's like the most 90s soundtrack ever.
It might be the best soundtrack. That might be the best thing that came out of that movie, was that soundtrack. Trip Like I Do, I defy you to find a more hardcore, exemplary moment from the 90s than Trip Like I Do by Phil Turnquist. Anyway, my mom was like, what the... She watched... I gave her credit. We at least watched the movie. And I'm like, ooh, there's Todd McFarlane. Ooh, they named the dog after the guy who directed the the DOP. Like, oh, did you know that Terry Fitzgerald, Spawn's friend, is named after Todd McFarlane's buddy? And blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God. And she's like, that movie was really dark. And I'm like, yeah, Spawn gets to be... She goes, no, I mean, I couldn't see a damn thing.
It was. You had to go back and watch it a second time. But, yeah, no, man, all right, so a few things first. One, Dreamcatcher was not a bad movie. I thought Dreamcatcher was a pretty good movie.
Dreamcatcher holds up until the last 45 minutes.
It was the biggest waste of Tom Sizemore I've ever seen in my life in a film, but it was still pretty good. Like, it was... Morgan Freeman was okay, and it was basically about, like, aliens, but...
It's awesome! You never get to see Morgan Freeman go crazy and be evil. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was kind of a cool thing, is to see him be a bad guy. And then, like, Duddits, that was just kind of... kind of stupid.
You like Duddits?
Duddits. He was... I thought Duddits was dumb. He felt like the Jar Jar Binks of that movie. I was like, okay, look, I mean, I get that he's, like, an alien, but... Like an alien with like a mental issue, like isn't this just like shameless? I mean, but nonetheless, sure it was. Do what?
I said I'm sure the book's better.
Oh yeah, the book's 100 times better. But nonetheless, it was it was a decent movie. But yeah, I thought that at the time, like when that movie came out, I thought Spawn was the tits. Like I was like, oh my God, this movie's amazing. It was so fun.
Like I had no reason to believe any movie was bad when I was a kid. Like I had like no filter for quality whatsoever, and in no objective mind whatsoever when it came to movies. So like if a movie had karate in it, for example, I thought it was just the shit.
Oh yeah, man.
Like period. Like Karate Kid or
Karate Kid, by the way, is great.
Even Karate Kid 3.
No, sir.
Karate Kid's a great movie.
No. Karate Kid was never a good movie.
Karate Kid 1 and 2 are great movies. You gotta watch them again. They're awesome.
Karate Kid 3 was a good one.
Karate Kid 3?
Yeah.
Oh, you're trolling me. I see. That's really weird that you would be trolling me about this.
He does that to me all the time, too. But
Karate Kid 3.
My point is I realized looking back on all these movies, like, not only did I have no filter for quality, but I forced my dad, who is not a fan of science fiction or fantasy at all, to see basically every fantasy or science fiction movie that came out at the time. Harry Potter, Star Wars, even the good ones. Like, I have the mind right now, when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, to say, Dad, you're probably not going to like this movie. If you don't want to go,
right,
you don't have to go, but you're welcome to come if you'd like. So I saw it with my mom, who's a little bit more of a fan.
Cool.
And she loved it, but I had the reason to say, Dad wouldn't like that movie. Like, there's no chance.
I have the experience to back it up. My dad would not like this movie.
He would not like that movie. All right, well, I think we got to wrap this podcast up, don't we? Like everybody has stuff.
We got another couple minutes. Like we could wrap it up. We could go right into the next topic and then wrap it.
Oh yeah,
talk about Doctor Strange.
Yes, Joaquin Phoenix. I hope he doesn't actually do that movie because Joaquin Phoenix sucks.
He sucks, and
he's crazy.
Joaquin Phoenix. If you guys don't know, not you guys, but the guys in the thing. Joaquin Phoenix has been rumored to be cast as Doctor Strange for a while, and then there were some casting rumors that came up recently, but it turns out that Marvel's been trying to ink a deal with Joaquin Phoenix for a while.
Yeah. Oh. And I don't know why.
Number one, who the hell fan casted that in an editorial capacity? Like, who was like, we gotta get? Walk the Lines Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. The dude from Signs, Meryl from Signs, that managed to beat aliens by hitting them with glasses of water.
We need this hair-lipped lunatic douche.
See, like he kind of looks like a young Doctor Strange.
No.
But
they need to get Aidan Gillen. Is what they need to do. They need to go to Aidan Gillen, and they need to say, Aidan Gillen, how much money do you want?
The Italian guy, Adrian Brody, would be a better Doctor Strange than
Adrian Brody.
Caesar from Gladiator.
Yeah, Caesar from Gladiator.
And like. Yeah, Walk the Line, like Country Star from Walk the Line, like.
Yeah, no, he hasn't been in a good movie in a long time.
her was apparently really good. Like, he's a good actor. Like, I'm not even going to give him a hard time about being an actor. Like, he can act. But he's not going to be a good... Okay, I can't say that he's not going to be a good Doctor Strange. He's a horrible choice. And the reason for that is because Marvel has made it abundantly clear that they don't want to deal with temperamental actors. As we talked about before, Edward Norton rewrites every movie that he signs on to be in. He doesn't write it top to bottom, but he always fleshes it out a little bit more. He did it with he tried to do it with Incredible Hulk. He did it with like Death to Smoochy, and he did it with The Score and Fight Club. Like he puts a stamp on those movies because he thinks that he's a good writer, and in some cases he is. But like, who knows? But the point is, we hired you to act Edward Norton. We didn't hire you to write publicly Incredible Hulk. And number two, like, they knew that he was going to be a pain in the ass. They knew down the line he was going to be more trouble than he was worth.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's not like we need to appease him.
I thought for a while when they were talking about him returning, like perhaps returning as the Incredible Hulk and rumors and everything, was that he demanded too much money as well.
I'm sure he did,
like,
because
he knew that you know, he was probably clued in on what they were going to develop.
Yep.
And that he was the Incredible Hulk, so he was like, I'm just the Incredible Hulk, you need me.
Yeah, and it's like...
Because you're being.
No, they've got Mark Ruffalo, they don't need Edward Norton. Mark
I know,
Ruffalo's
now
really
Mark
good now.
Ruffalo is really good.
Yeah.
Back then, like, that was a pretty good Hulk.
Now, to me, Aidan Gillen, I think, is the best person to play Doctor Strange right now. Like, he looks like Doctor Strange. He's a really good actor. I don't know what he's like as an individual, like, outside the screen, But the fact remains that Marvel needs to go to Aidan Gillen. They need to go to this guy and say, how much money do you want? Like, we'll pay you pretty much anything. Because if you guys ever watched...
They just need to say...
They're not...
They don't even need to offer him money. Like, they just need to say, like, we'd like you to play Doctor Strange. And he would know that he'd be rolling in it.
Oh, yeah, he would, but they need to bring him in. Like, they need to have him play Doctor Strange. To me, I can't think of anybody better. I mean, I would say my initial idea was Hugh Laurie, but a few people made the comment, which I've learned to agree with, that Hugh Laurie just seems a little too old to play the role of Doctor Strange at this point in the Marvel Universe. But, the fact remains that Aidan Gillen, I think, is hands down the best person to play the role at the moment. Or Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, I think he needs to go away for a good decade and then come back.
Yeah.
But like, but with Joaquin Phoenix, he is so frustratingly temperamental. Like, he is apparently as frustrating to work with for actors, for directors, for writers, as Edward Norton is, if not more so. He's like a Crispin Glover in that he's like, I'm going to do like a street performance. I'm going to be like performance art and pretend to be a mental case. And it's like, then if you're going to go on a late night show and pretend to be a crazy person, you're kind of a crazy person.
I don't know why he did that. What the heck? Oh, we just lost our call. He put us on hold. Hello? Hello?
Yes, we are live, Benny.
What happened? Oh.
Benny called. I thought he called in the other.
Benny called.
Hey, hang on, I gotta call you.
Everything up.
Why did no one call?
I'm going back to the other call.
Wow.
I'm going back to the other call. Go away.
I'm upset.
Hang on a minute. Hang on, buddy.
Okay.
Hey guys, sorry about that.
Okay. Are we back?
Okay, Benny, I gotta call Benny on this one.
Okay. It's not over, guys.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
People are like, what the heck?
It was confusing. Still new at this. Add people to this call. There we go. Boom. Now we're in. Anyway, Joaquin Phoenix sucks. And he's too temperamental to be on the show.
Yes.
Or in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Chris Lowe called it. What we did was we were strange, much like Doctor Strange. No.
Benny, we're live right now, just so you know, and you're upside down.
I'm on the ceiling.
Oh my God, really? Wow.
Y'all gotta have one of your moments.
Hold on. I'm upset here because I'm all for you guys starting without me because I was in that meeting, but no one even said you were starting.
I told you like we're starting at 5.
I see no link. I see no call that I missed.
Oh my God.
Is this your way of getting me off the podcast? Is that what this is?
You know what? You put us in an awkward position, but here's the thing.
What's the deal? Like I thought we agreed it was Dave and me both fired, and you were bringing in Tiffany. Why is Dave back? What did we bring him back on?
Listen, man. I just do what Rob tells me.
I paid them a lot of money.
He did.
To be on the show.
Why? Your channel makes no money.
But it will. If I stay on the podcast, I can steal both Sal
You guys
and
don't
Rob.
fire me.
Wow.
I'm upset that no one even said
I'm
we
sorry,
were doing
man. I
this.
thought you were literally. I've been talking to Benny via the chat, and you kept saying like, "I'm sorry, guys, I'm still in the thing."
I said, I'm sorry, I'm still in the meeting. I didn't see it get started, so I figured that you guys are just waiting, so I was trying to get the meeting over.
Rob and I were talking earlier in the group chat about the show starting at 5, and we started later at 5:30.
Right. It was supposed to be at 5, and I saw no calls, no nothing, so that's why I didn't end the meeting. I was like, oh, we're still going. That's fine.
In the meeting.
I could have.
I didn't know any
It's a
details,
meeting.
like,
It's a meeting. It was like 2 hours of business, but like 15 minutes of that was legitimate business, and like an hour and 45 of that was, man, it's gonna be great when this happens.
Dude, everybody's excited because Benny's back. Everybody's happy that Benny's back. Well, it's funny because we're like swapping people now because Sal's got to take off here in a little bit to like do his shows, and so now Benny's here. So we're just gonna keep on going with Benny now. So.
I'm good for the next like 2 hours. Let's do it.
Wow.
All right, Marvel Cinematic
I just got done reading
Universe
Justice
rumors.
League, where Lex Luthor showed up. I just got done reading Green Lantern, where he gets stuck in a source wall. I just got done reading Original Sin, where oh my god.
Oh yeah, we talked about.
That's what I was doing. The meeting's going on, and they're all talking graphics and programming and stuff, and I'm just sitting here like, oh my god, Hal Jordan's stuck in the source wall?
Wow. Okay, so what we were talking about before, Benny so rudely interrupted and barged in, is Joaquin Phoenix playing Doctor Strange and how he sucks because he's not a good person to play Doctor Strange.
Rob, your mic is like.
Yeah,
you
up and down.
but because I called in and you guys had to jump the calls. What you need to do now, Rob, is you got to pull up your volume control on your computer and readjust everything.
Readjust everything? Why?
Because Skype will auto mess with everything and it blew everything up, and now everyone's even saying it in the chat. I'm surprised everyone's telling me that I'm low. This is the first time in my life someone's ever told me I'm quiet.
No, you sound good. It was Rob.
Yeah, Rob
had an issue with the mic. It would cut out.
Sal, do I sound good?
Oh, you sound awesome.
Do you want to meet with me? You want to meet with me in the alley behind the comic book shop later?
You sound delicious, Benny. You
Delicious.
sound really delicious.
You sound scrumptious.
Why do you gotta make it creepy?
Yeah. Yeah, way to
That's
make it
just
creepy,
who
Dave.
I am.
Oh, it's not. We can make it creepy. What's going
All right,
on,
you're back.
Benny? I can't
There
wait
you go.
to
Well,
get down
before we
inside your
get to this
pants.
discussion, since I'm here, hold on. Before we move forward, I have to do one thing. Welcome to the weekly poll, where everything that happened before this didn't matter because I wasn't here.
We just got crisis.
We just got Crisis.
Rebooting the universe.
52.
Welcome to the new 52 of the weekly poll.
Crisis on
Okay,
Infinite,
guys,
Benny.
we already talked about that. And Benny here wasn't around to defend DC, so
DC's crises are amazing, like the Green Lantern getting stuck in a source wall,
Yeah.
and I don't even know what's going on here, but apparently Lois Lane is now a cyborg turning into a bigger cyborg.
Well, you missed the entire discussion about Original Sin, so I'm sorry about your luck because we're not going to talk about it
Fine,
again.
I can talk Future's End. Apparently I'm the only one that's been reading it.
Yeah. I read Earth 2's Future's End.
That's what I was just holding up. I don't even know what's going on with it. Everything is so shiny, it's got my attention.
Yeah. By the way, Tiffany says she was thinking maybe what's his name? Nicholas Holt, who played Hank McCoy in the X-Men Days of Future Past, would be a cool Doctor Strange.
No.
He's a little soft-spoken, but I take it.
No, he wouldn't be bad. I mean, at this point, at this point, I'm just
I'd
kind of.
rather anyone other than like a 48-year-old lunatic like Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
He's not a lunatic.
He's too freaking old to be hanging franchises on.
Wait, is he really 48? Because
I don't know. I just
looks
threw
like
out an
he's
age,
like
but I'm sure I'm not wrong. Let me take a look.
He's like 30.
Hold on,
No,
who's 48
I'm
years
like
old?
30.
Yeah, I'm
He's
30.
way older.
Are you talking about
bro,
Joaquin
Sal,
Phoenix?
Sal, you're
Yeah.
like 30. You're actually 48. Joaquin Phoenix is actually 30.
I guarantee you he is
If
not.
Sal is 48 years old, he's like the best looking 40-year-old man I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he looked like he
Thank you.
was 30 in Gladiator like 20 years ago.
Yeah, he's.
He's old.
He is. You know
I
who
mean,
that? You know
Doctor Strange isn't like a really extremely young character.
he's
Well, no,
not, but he's
like,
younger
he
than.
Would
He's
be.
got gray
Yeah.
hair. That's all that's important.
Joaquin Phoenix is 40, by the way. So he's younger than Robert Downey Jr. But I'd take
I
a
don't think
60-year-old
he-
Iron Man. I don't care.
I wouldn't say he's too old, but I would say he's the wrong person. He doesn't look like Doctor Strange. He hasn't had any parts that are anywhere near him getting typecasted. No fans want to see him. It's like it's
Really?
almost like they saw what DC was doing with the Justice League movie and all their casting choices, and they were like, let's jump on this bandwagon even though we don't need to.
Yeah, let's continue to follow this really bad formula that isn't working. That is just a crappy copy of our formula.
Well, no. I have something to say about that. I don't know if you guys were reading today, but apparently Cumberbatch, the guy for Sherlock Holmes,
Yeah.
has been getting shopped around for DC roles in general. Like, they don't have any in mind. They just want to put him into a DC role. So what it's probably turning into now is Marvel and DC going... Because as soon as I read this, my first thought was it's going to be like an arms race. Who
Yeah.
can sign on the big names before the other guy?
Well, apparently, Cumberbatch was their _1 choice.
Yeah.
But it conflicts with something he's doing next year.
He's
Or
got to do a stage
Doctor
play.
Strange?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
Doctor Strange.
Oh,
It was
He's gotta
Benedict
do a stage
Cumberbatch
play, so
and
they were like,
Tom
I guess
Hardy.
We'll get friggin' her to be in it.
No, man, they need to get they. Let me tell you, it's Aidan Gillen or Tom Hardy. I mean, after watching, no, dude, let me tell you something. If you haven't watched like Warrior, then you need to watch that because that movie solidified to me that Tom Hardy knows how to act. Like that was, I mean, it was an action movie, it was an MMA fighting movie, but the fact remains that he was amazing in that movie.
When you
He was
breathe
Bane.
the eye
He
of
can't be
Agamotto, you have my permission to die.
You have my
Exactly.
permission to die.
I think his like I don't know, like they could probably work visual effects magic on him and make him less buff, but I think he's a little too buff right now to be playing Doctor Strange. That's just maybe my opinion, but
Yeah,
like
but you know how easy
he's
you can
really
scrawny
hulked
down?
out.
Yeah, I mean,
Look at Christian Bale from Machinist to Batman. It is very easy to go scrawny if you need.
I mean, hell, not even Machinist, man.
Yeah.
Like the Fighter, like he was
Yeah.
a crack addict in the Fighter.
Yeah.
And he was all like thin and worn down. So I mean, it's an extreme, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure that if Tom Hardy was approached with the idea of if Marvel went to Tom Hardy and said, "Hey, man, look, we want you to play Doctor Strange, but you're a little too buff at the moment. Can you slim down?" Tom Hardy would make that happen.
Yeah. Well, I think
No.
he would too, but it
You
also
can't-
depends on how
You- no,
fast
he's-
they want to go into production.
It's bad
Because if
enough.
they're
It's
like-
bad enough that we've already doing Ryan Reynolds in multiple roles. Let Tom Hardy be Bane and just leave it the freak alone.
No
Yeah.
way. Because what we need to do is we need to get good actors on the side of the good comic book movie making scene. All right, we need to get them in the good comic book movies, not those shitty movies that go on over at DC, whatever you guys do over there. We're talking
Dude,
about the good stuff over
Batman
here.
Trilogy, the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy is the greatest Batman trilogy. Because
Yes.
I can't commit.
Oh, okay.
I
So
The greatest Batman.
So
trilogy.
in terms of like DC based comic book movies, you guys are like 3 for 15. So okay, cool. You know, like we here at Marvel.
Iron Man 2.
No, don't worry about
Oh,
Iron Man
God.
2. Don't worry about Iron Man 2. All right.
Captain America 1.
I like both.
Captain
Thor
America.
Dark World. Did anybody
Cool.
watch Thor Dark World?
I did. I thought Thor: The Dark World was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was pretty
They were
interesting.
all fun.
I mean, granted, there are certain movies that are filler movies.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was like an Empire Strikes Back movie. Iron Man 2 was good. Iron Man 3 was terrible.
But they did
Both
they
are
did
hard.
have an Infinity Gem in Thor 2. So.
That's not enough.
Yes, they did.
That doesn't make it okay to make a movie.
It
That's
wasn't
like
really
saying
an
that
Infinity
The
Gem. It was
next
Infinity
movie
Juice.
is going to be Sal, Dave, Rob, and Benny with an Infinity Gem.
Well, there's an
talking
Infinity
about
Gem.
that gem.
It's like I knew a guy who used to say that the Silver Surfer was a really cool character because he was super powerful. And I'm like, you don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a reason to like something.
Because they're powerful.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's a good movie because there was an Infinity Gem in it. I'm saying it had relevance as a whole in
Well,
the
yeah.
Marvel Cinematic Universe because it had.
At least it was cool. Like,
Dude,
Thor got to be cool in it.
Yeah, but if you're going off of relevance in the thing, then the 5-second extra clips that go on the DVD are all relevant to the stories.
I like those.
Yeah, those are really
Yeah, they're not bad. I mean, they're not terrible.
Some of those are better than the movies that they follow. Oh, Bird!
I haven't seen I need to see the other one, the Hail to the King one, where it's like interviewing
Yeah.
Mandarin.
Yeah, it's like
Where-
15
where
minutes
it's
long.
in-
I want to see
God.
that.
Yeah.
I
Man.
I
love
have all
Olsen
the
movies.
I
Those
all
are great.
have all the one shots. I like them.
They need
I
to make
ripped-
more one shots.
I ripped those along with the Blu-rays.
Yeah.
Well,
They
the
need to
one
make
shots
more
are
of
why
those.
Coulson got popular. Like people thought Coulson was cool, and then they started doing one shots where he like goes into like a liquor store or something like that, and, like beats people up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that's what made
Yeah,
Coulson cool.
A gas station was getting robbed while he
Yeah.
was filling up. He was like paying for his gas, and then
Yeah.
they came in and tried to rob the place, and Coulson like worked his ninja magic on them.
Yeah, people were like,
He
"Holy shit,
worked
Coulson's
his-
cool."
He worked his ninja magic.
Hmm.
He wasn't a Kree at that point.
I think
Let's
he's.
not go there.
Yeah, and his Kree powers aren't really doing anything for him.
Not at the
Well,
moment,
We'll see.
but he's got Kree blood in him now, which means he's going to be the new Captain Marvel. Yay!
Okay, hold on. So I missed the entire original sin discussion.
Yes,
But we spent like an hour talking about it, Rob, and I was
Yes,
all
we
stoked to
did.
talk about it, and now it's over.
and you said I said Sal can go on at 5. Does that work for you? And you said no. I'm going to be in a meeting
have
at
a
that
meeting.
time, and
So
I
wait,
said
we waited
okay
for Sal. Why didn't you wait another 30, 45 minutes for me?
because
We
Sal had to
actually
go
did,
on
because
and do
it
his
was,
show.
like,
We did. We
5
waited a little
So
bit.
we
We waited like
waited
half an
all
hour.
day for Sal. I pushed my entire schedule around, and you couldn't give me 30 more minutes. So that we
I
could
didn't-
talk
I didn't
about
know it was
original
gonna be
sin
30
that
more
we were
minutes.
Already talking about.
I didn't know it was okay. Fine. You know what? If you're gonna cry, then we'll talk
I'm
about
already
original
crying.
sin.
You just can't see it because my tear ducts are dry.
We'll talk about original sin
I'm
again because
incapable of tears.
we didn't go over everything in original sin. We just kind of did like a run over of like the important parts and what we thought, like pretty much anything worth discussing we talked about during the podcast. But we can talk about stuff that doesn't
Okay, well,
matter
did
if
you
you
talk,
want.
Did you talk about the Inhumans story review?
No, we didn't talk about the Inhuman story reveals because no one
the
cares. No one cares about the Rocky Horror Picture Show of the Marvel Universe.
No.
What, the Inhumans?
Yeah.
Well,
The
apparently
Inhumans are
Skye
Mark-
on the TV show is now Inhuman. So is her parents.
Oh no, we didn't talk about that.
Let me tell you
Oh,
something.
what?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, also,
Yeah.
if you guys are
Skye is
reading,
apparently an Inhuman. We're gonna get Mockingbird next season.
Oh,
We're gonna
boy.
get Inhumans next season, and it's gonna lead into the movie. That's not important news.
also, I don't know if you guys read Ms. Marvel, but she's also an Inhuman.
Did you know that Wolverine has actually been an Inhuman the whole
Oh
time?
my god.
Oh my god.
Don't
Everybody's been an
Chat,
Inhuman
he's
actually.
lying. That's not true. Don't put it down.
Oh no, when they reboot him, that is a possibility.
Oh
yeah,
god.
no, he'll come back as an Inhuman.
That's what I'm so disappointed
that-
about. I'm not
like, that-
disappointed that
that
he's
would be
dying.
like
I'm disappointed he's coming back.
Marvel that would be like Marvel finding a loophole in their contract with
That'd be
Fox, so they
amazing.
can use all the X-Men.
That would be like
In
that's what Marvel
the Marvel
Comics
Cinematic.
Marvel Comics needs to say. It needs to come back. If they were to do that, they could come back and say, "Well, see, like Wolverine's an Inhuman," or they could say like
Yeah.
Wolverine's an
This-
Eternal,
this
which is
is
why he
the
can like heal
version
himself
of
all the time.
Wolverine that's an
Yeah, Wolverine's
Inhuman,
not
not
coming
the
back.
version of Wolverine that's a mutant. So
Or
it's
or
okay
you could
to have
say,
an argument.
or you could say because Wolverine's like so damn ugly, you could say like he's a deviant, like he's just one of the ones that got turned ugly,
He's the best looking deviant.
the best
They're
looking
still stating
deviant.
that he's not coming back. They're going to keep him.
That's not true. That's
So they
I
s-
guarantee that's not gonna
I
happen.
saw them actually say that, and I was like, no, he's not.
It's a big
Nobody
show.
believes that. And
It's
if he
a big
does
show.
that.
if he does stay dead, then X-23 or Dakin is suddenly going to 100% start acting like Wolverine, like in full practically, and that's
Yep.
the end of that.
Wolverine's not gonna stay gone. Wolverine's too
Or-
popular.
I can already say what's going to happen. X-23, because she's a clone of Wolverine, will start acting more and more like Wolverine. She'll take the name Wolverine because Wolverine's just an animal. It's not necessarily a guy or girl's name.
Yeah.
And the Bucko reboot is Wolverine with X-23.
Oh yeah, I would read that.
Actually, I would too.
I wouldn't. Why would I read something?
Because it's Wolverine with boobs.
X-23,
It's the best
really?
of both worlds.
She has 2 claws, not 3. All
No,
right.
she has three. There's
No,
one on her,
she-
there's one on her feet.
Yeah, she has wonderful.
We're talking about like, bam, busting claws out of the
Your
hands.
face when you said that was just like,
She has one on her foot.
what?
One on her foot.
She's got 2 here, 1 down the wait.
Yeah. That's where I thought you were going with it originally. I was like, all right. I don't know what the hell Marvel's doing now, but I don't remember that. But no, like I don't care about X-23, man. Like because she is a clone of Wolverine, and it doesn't matter to me. X-23 was kind of relevant during Uncanny Avengers, I think, and I don't care about X-23 that much. I mean,
She is super cool in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or 4 or whatever. She's one of my go-tos.
Character, a lot of really.
Yeah, she's fast and
They've been giving her a lot of character development in all new X-Men. She's actually been doing pretty good, and now she's dating whichever one the Angel guy is. Always getting mixed up. Bobby Drake's Iceman. I always mix up with
Warren Worthington
Warren
III.
Worthington III.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you
Yeah,
something
there's
about
a third
Warren
in there.
Worthington III, man. Like,
Hello, I'm
Worthington was good.
I'm
Really,
Warren
really
Worthington.
quick, before I gotta get out of here, but really quick, I'll tell a quick story about Warren Worthington III. My folks used to have a lake membership. There's a nice like lake club near my place, and my folks used to have a membership there, and it cost an obscene amount of money to play like paddleball and swim when it's friggin' hot. And Jersey summers are retarded because it's like 100 degrees all the time with like 90% humidity. So it's essential to have some place to get wet. And so our place is that lake. But the lake has a crazy membership fee, and after I got too old to be grandfathered in as part of the family plan and not having a membership of my own, I decided that they had a Cracker Jack card system. It was a piece of yellow construction paper with their membership information printed on it. And the only thing they had was the logo and the name of the person and a membership number. And this was pre like scanners and everything. It was pre like me being able to scan it. So I went to the Walmart and I grabbed my parents' membership card and I scanned it in using Walmart's photo thing, like their photo registry, like digital photo maker.
Yeah.
Got a digital copy of it, brought it into my computer, used Photoshop like 6, changed the names, and gave me and all my friends membership ID cards. And because we needed to use fake names, I picked all comic book aliases. And because all of us needed our own membership cards, I had to use a lot of characters, and eventually I ran out of names that I knew off the top of my head. And so my buddy became Warren Worthington III. And they worked like a charm, except for the fact that my folks had one extra card that was my niece's card. And Ben from Back Issues and TV Little House, he insisted on using my niece's card instead of Clint Barton. And so they looked up his ID, and because they saw that Jamie was not a guy, but in fact was on paper a girl, we got busted.
The whole scam.
The whole scam was ruined.
The whole
But if he
thing
just
came
stuck
crashing
with
down.
his alias
of Clint Barton.
of Clint Barton. And by the way, I was this nerdy. All our membership IDs were like the issue number that either they first appeared in or the year that they appeared in. Like,
You were that guy.
I was that guy
Wow.
Oh,
doing
man.
my Cracker Jack counterfeiting operation. And by the way, the consequences were them calling my parents and being like, "Please tell your son to not do that.
Please don't
pay-
counterfeit.
Just pay the damn fee." It was
We're
like
trying to scam the
Was
system.
it like $10 too? Or
it was
something
$7 a person.
so you scammed
Wow.
way past $7.
No, I scammed them out of like $28. Like I had like 4 or 5 or maybe like maybe scammed $40.
You know, and
Anyway,
like,
there
you know,
you go.
they call that fraud in like all
By the
50
way,
states. But
They
you
were
know,
totally okay with Warren Worthington III, and it was only when they saw that the girl was a guy when he showed up that was the problem. Warren
Wow.
Worthington III, hilarious name, totally buyable at the guard shack at Deer Lake.
Are you really gonna be that guy that goes, "This isn't legit"?
Oh, me?
Yeah. Like, is that guy like, man? I know my comics.
Oh no! Oh no! He did not know. He had no idea. Like,
Wow.
oh, he didn't like go through and go like, and go Carol Danvers. Like, please, I know who that is. No, that guy was like 13. He had no idea. This is also like in 2002. So like, no.
Where did Dave go?
No.
No.
What happened to Dave?
He's gone.
All right. Well, I guess that'll let you go anyway. I promise this real quick, guys. I know I wasn't here last week. I will be here. I will be here next week, as long as Rob tells me and calls me when we start.
Now let me tell you guys,
the whole reason I wasn't here, Rob's fault.
Whatever.
I'm gonna bomb out, but you guys can keep going. Like, I'm sure if the chat.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can keep going. The chat doesn't care.
7 people there. You don't want to let them go now. Like,
It's Marvel Comics, man. There's always something. Like, people come here to hang out with us and listen to us talk. There's always something to talk
We're
about.
gonna talk about Original Sin and Inhumans today. You did them. Now what?
No,
Well, now we can talk about whatever. Yeah, we didn't really talk about the
I
Inhumans.
haven't read enough of this.
So guys,
Okay, well, hold
you know
on.
about
Sal,
indie
before you take off,
yes.
you need to listen to the voicemail that me and Benny left you earlier today.
Oh, I did.
You need to put that on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I do. I got it.
Get them alive. And while you're doing that, Rob, who's streaming right now? Rob?
I'm streaming, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he's streaming. I'm on the call.
I need you to put up what for Sal goes. The picture of you guys as Sims. I want to see what everyone thinks before we launch that.
Oh, totally.
Oh yeah, Benny is
Why would I put up the picture of us as
his
Sims?
inner girl, his inner 13-year-old girl, and
I
he's
have video
living out a
games
fantasy
also.
life with all 4 of us as Sims.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do
I have
is
video game channels also, and that's the only title out right now.
That's like what 13-year-old girls do with like their first boyfriend.
All right, that's the picture of
Make
us
a
as the
sim of
Sims.
him.
You gotta do it live on the stream though.
I'm doing it on the stream.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, let me like position it so it's fit to screen. There we go. All right, there's us as the Sims.
Coming up.
Yeah, it's coming. I think it's pretty funny. But yeah, all right, Sal, do you have that voicemail? Like, can you play it on the call?
Oh, can I play it on here? Will that?
I think you can. Like, if you can play it on your computer, you should be able to play it on the.
Oh yeah, you should be able to hear it. Hang on.
Because it was a pretty epic voicemail.
My gaming channels are going to be doing Destiny. For anyone who doesn't know, I actually have a larger channel that's all gaming. The comic was a side project that has just gone crazy. But I do gaming crap, like The Sims, and I'm doing Destiny next week. But I have The Sims this week, and I thought it'd be funny if I did the comic book guys in a Sims house, and we can see what happens. Now, there's some interesting things here, such as the only bathroom is at the end of a maze. There's only 3 beds, so which of the comic book guys is going to cuddle?
Benny said we look like Backstreet Boys.
I think I give everyone interesting traits, like Dave is a book nerd. Like I'm a guy that just researches a bunch of crap. Sal's a genius and a teacher on the side.
Sounds all right. All right, I got this voicemail here if you want me to play it.
All right, I don't know if it'll play or not, but yeah, go ahead. I don't know
All right,
if
I'll
we can
play
hear
it and see what happens.
I think you have to play it live, like through your speakers.
Yeah, I can't. We can't hear it.
No?
Yeah.
No.
All right.
I think Skype actually cancels the noise
Yeah, that
from
makes
what's
sense.
coming.
Wait a
through
minute,
the
hang on a
speaker.
minute. Oh no, I can't. No, I
A
can't.
lot of the time.
What I'll do is I will throw it up online and we'll link to it later.
This is what happens when Rob and Benny call Sal at 12 o'clock going, where's the podcast?
Yeah, I was at
supposed to be
freaking
on at
work.
start. I was, that's when Rob's doing his proper job and arranging what time we should all be here and not just going live without telling someone.
But what I'll tell you is this: I'll bomb out. I'll do the plug, and then Tiffany's gonna jump in, say hi, and then she'll close up when you guys are done because we're on this call. Like it's my call, I think.
Oh yeah.
So if I cancel it, this is over.
Why doesn't Tiffany just take your spot? People like her
She's
better.
gonna jump in right now.
People
But,
like her better.
It is. Trust me, it's
Sal,
way crazy on the eyes.
We didn't mean to make this awkward, but Tiffany's gonna be the one on the podcast anyways from now on.
Yeah. Sorry about your luck, man.
I'm sorry we've been arranging this behind your back,
Is
but
that true? What the crap?
This is your official pink slip.
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Anyway, when you do the back issues recordings tonight, do me a favor and have Tiffany explain it to Ben and Ethan, and just see what happens.
We are doing an episode where that happens. It's when I'm sick, which will invariably happen when it gets cold.
Yes.
So, but we do have an episode waiting, and it's not shot, but like Tiffany will be doing an episode of Back Issues where I'm not in it, and it's and she'll be explaining it to Ben and Ethan, and they're gonna be like, even more confused.
I have a request for you because I know what you're doing tonight. So when you get a free time,
yes,
I have a special request for you to do.
Okay.
And that is you need to read the My Little Pony story arc and explain it to Ethan and Ben.
Oh my
the
God.
Friendship is Magic, like that story arc.
Yeah, the friend. So you even know the story arc I'm talking about.
Well, Ben's a brony.
Is he really?
Are you? Hold on. Let me stop. Let me stop this for a second. Let me see if I understand the conversation that's undergoing here.
I don't have time for me to explain bronies.
But you're you're gonna get on your YouTube channel and do an explained video about My Little Pony.
Well, I'm not gonna do that, but Benny certainly wants to.
If you do it, I will plug the hell out of that episode.
Dude,
Alright.
I will spam that all over the internet.
It will be in every location known to mankind.
Dude, the internet
Okay.
will rue the
We'll
day
do
that
it.
you did that.
I mean, you know, I'm a whore. I'll do it. Like, yeah, no, like
Deadpool core.
Deadpool. Yeah, no, stop.
And another thing, real quick, before you go, Sal, the thing we were talking about, where you can do a little thing, if you're going to do recordings tonight and you want to plug the thing on the other channel, pick something that ties into Original Sin, like Thor and Loki, or Iron Man and Hulk. A short story you can do quickly, so everyone can go check out very soon. Special edition of Back Issues over at Comic Storian.
Totally, we are gonna do that. Yeah, I guess I'll talk to them about that.
Ben just lost his streak red.
I think there are
Word.
lots of people who like My Little Ponies.
Secretly.
I'm not one of them.
They're like in the
Fuck
closet.
that noise.
Wait, Dave's not defending himself. Dave likes My Little Pony.
We knew it.
I haven't read the comics
Maybe we
yet,
should
but
talk
I
about
have to say.
comics if we're gonna keep going.
What do you think? What do you think?
that.
What do you think that
My
chest
Little
behind him's filled of? That chest behind him's full of like My Little Pony stuff, like little pony dolls, like stuffed animals and stuff
This
like
closet?
that.
Is
Yeah,
that what you're talking
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Open, dude. What's in there? Like, what's inside of there?
It's
What?
my dad's tool closet. It's not very entertaining.
Oh.
All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna transform. If this was an episode of one of my shows, I would fade into it, but I'm not going to. But thanks a lot for having me, guys. I will talk to you later. I'm
Word.
gonna swap in.
Word.
So, bye for now.
Later, Sal.
And if
I
you guys are
saw
talking about
this.
my closet, you guys are talking about my closet and my room. That's my clothes closet.
Oh,
Sal,
okay.
that's
And
a
some of my
change.
books are in there.
Wow, Sal just underwent like this massive, crazy transformation. What the heck?
I'm also significantly shorter than I was before.
Oh, okay. Well,
We
that's
like this
weird.
version of Sal better.
I'm sure they do.
It still
Hey,
says
guys.
Sal on the Skype, so
Yeah.
See you later. Have fun.
As far as the internet's concerned, that's Sal. So.
I'm new Sal.
Inhuman.
All right. So one of the things we actually didn't talk about with the original Sin storyline was Thor and Loki and Iron Man and Hulk, which I'm kind of surprised. You know what? Fine. If you want to be a big girl about it, then fine. We'll just go talk about something else.
They
Then.
just called me on time. We could have chatted about that. I had a whole discussion plan about the future of Nick Fury and Bucky and them utilizing Bucky in a manner that isn't just a sidekick to Captain America. I had a whole thing planned out about Thor being dropped down and the whole how is the Thor and Loki plot going to tie into the fact that Angela's now going to be an Asgardian assassin. I was going to talk about Iron Man and Hulk and how that whole entire story planned out so that now we have an intelligent Hulk. And I don't know, how about the fallout of the fact that Strange and Black Panther are hiding the whole entire reason behind what Nick Fury was doing, because he wasn't just being crazy, there was more to it. And how maybe that ties into the Incursion storyline that is going on. Why am I even reading Marvel, Rob, if you're not going to call me?
No idea. I don't know why you're reading it. You know, I don't even know why you're here. Why don't you just end your side of the phone call and just go about your business? Actually, we didn't even touch on that on Doctor Strange and Black Panther knowing what's going on. Like I totally forgot about that. And that's one of the things that we were talking about is
You had me here.
well, that's okay. So all right, then fine. Then theories. Okay, so what do we think the reason is about why Nick Fury did that? Because we know Nick Fury was the one that killed the Watcher. Like he said, like I killed the Watcher. Like he said, I did it.
So, like, spoiler alert. There you go. Thanks, Rob.
Well, we spoiled that a long time ago.
Okay, and Dave isn't going to read until January anyway, so.
hmm
Well, okay,
Well-
Nick Fury shows up, and Nick Fury knows what's going on, right? And
Yes.
I think, because the argument that Nick Fury has with the Watcher is, I'm more important than you. I do more than you. Just tell me who took your eye, because By the way, this is part of my dramatic reading next week when I put this out on my channel. So everyone, just make sure you go to my channel, watch me dramatically read. Anyway, who took your eye? Because all you do is watch. I stop everything. And I think what's going on is, I think Nick Fury got wind of the incursions. Because if you notice, he's not on the Illuminati, he's not doing the incursions. And the incursions are huge. So in my opinion, Nick Fury somehow got wind of the incursion situation. Hi, Sal. Bye, Sal. Anyway. I think Nick Fury got wind of the incursions. Black Panther and Doctor Strange know that he knows what's going on and whatever the ultimate plan was, and that somehow is going to be tied to what Nick Fury was doing up at the Watcher. Because why else would you bring in members of the Illuminati, not telling Captain America, who has just been ousted from the Illuminati?
That makes sense. I mean,
your audio just dropped.
My audio just dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been doing that on and off like the entire time, like for very short periods of time.
My audio just probably because I'm recording this on.
You sound like a chipmunk.
You can't hear me.
So what is your opinions about this, Sal?
Oh, Sal's opinion about this? Yeah, I would love to know what Sal's opinion was about this before he left. Well, I mean, look, I barely know anything about Original Sin except for what Sal has told me at random. Every once in a while he'll like read an issue, and if it's really good of something, I will hear a rant about it. And if it's really bad, then I'll also hear a rant about it. But if it's mediocre, I'll miss chunks of things. So I have a really loose understanding of what Original Sin is about. The fact is that, I mean, Nick Fury, from what I understand, like, usually has a plan of some sort. But what you just explained to me about how he has an issue with the fact that the Watcher just watches, his name is the Watcher.
Right.
That's his job. And he actually, from what I understand about Uatu, he doesn't really do it necessarily well most of the time because he will intervene even though he's not supposed to.
Yeah, he jumps in and warns everybody, which is what Nick Fury said. He goes, you just jump in and tell people stuff. I go and do it.
Right, and it's like, but he's already going above and beyond the call of the Watchers in general.
Yeah.
He actually violates the Watcher's code by acting.
Like, I've read, like, the first 10 pages of my Hickman Fantastic Four omnibus. And the first thing that happens in that book, and the Watcher comes and he's like, this is far too important for me to not intervene. And I'm like, this is the first time I've ever seen you. And you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing.
Well, the whole thing is that no one... And here's the one real unclear thing that I've got about Uatu. Is he visible up there? Because he's got like a whole tower on the moon. And Rob, you're probably the guy that can answer this. But he's also known as the Unseen. He just watches. But it seems like everybody can just freely walk in and out of his tower and go chat with him, as proven by Nick Fury. And like I always thought that he was there and you only saw him if he wanted you to see him. But it seems like Nova just freely goes in and out of the tower. Nick Fury just wanders up there. Half the bad guy alliance just wanders up there. Why has nobody gone up there before if you can just walk in and get these tools to destroy the universe?
Yes, the Watcher can be seen if he wants to, and that's not just the Watcher. That's like the Watcher's entire race. And the way that we know that is for two reasons. One, it's like Fantastic Four number 14, I think, or whenever it was. Like the first time he ever showed up, it was at the very end of the comic, and that's when he introduced himself to the Fantastic Four and said, I'm just here to watch, like I usually never intervene. And then it was in the Galactus trilogy. That's why when the Galactus trilogy picks up, Susan Storm tells the Watcher, she says, I thought it was only your job to watch, because that's how he had explained it to him before. The Watcher can be seen if he wants to, and we saw that with Original Sin, actually, when the orb is being held in captivity by Dr. Midas or whoever it is. Like, you have all those Watchers watching everything, but he's the only one that can see them. And so, like, they're selective about who gets to see him, like, who can actually respond to them and all that kind of good stuff. So that's the basic nature of the Watcher. Now, whether or not that extends to, like, the Watcher's tower, I would say probably so, because there's been all kinds of instances in Marvel Comics when they've gone to the blue side of the moon, the oxygen part of the moon, which I don't think is where the Watcher's at, but nobody ever talks about the Watcher's tower. Like, nobody ever says, hey, there's the Watcher's tower over there, or you never actually see it. You only see it where Marvel simply just puts it on the panel. So I would say that probably extends to his tower.
Because the way the plot wraps around, the Watcher's tired of watching. He's tired of doing what he does. And he pretty much forces Nick Fury's hand into killing him. So the fact that the bad guys found the place, the fact that the orb found the place, and the fact that Nick Fury found the place, all at the same time, is because the Watcher was just kind of adding to his suicide plane, basically.
Yeah.
The Watcher basically, he basically committed suicide by cop.
Yeah, like he was. Yeah, he was. Well, he was. The way it plays out, it looks like he was going to kill Nick Fury if Nick Fury didn't kill him, and so he shot him in the face.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean,
and that was my big question: if everyone can just walk up to the Watcher's tower, because I don't know that much about the Watcher. He's kind of obscure. He's kind of an obscure character that you've always viewed as, oh, he watches everything. He sees
that was the whole basis. That was the criticism of Original Sin. Like you and I talked about that. Like the problem that people had with the Watcher is the Watcher was like this super omnipotent character who was on par with, like cosmic entities and stuff, and he had all kinds of vast powers, and he was like an abstract. And then Original Sin came along and somebody shot him in the face, and so people were just like, okay, well, I guess he can die, so that sucks. And so up until that point, the Watcher was just like this mystical character. We knew he was part of a race, and we knew that his race of people only watched, and he deviated from the role that his people played, but people didn't know how deep the Watcher went in terms of like his presence in the Marvel universe. And so what we saw was the Watcher effectively being killed, and so that changed the way people view the Watcher. But the problem here is that the Watcher is obscure.
But they also even gave him a kid, and they gave him relationships,
yeah.
And they showed his whole history, and they basically humanized the Watcher before just killing the Watcher. No, there's a weird noise back there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to make sure nothing was like magically burning or my house was burning down.
Well, I thought like Zodical came running in or something. You were just like,
no. She's running the water or something, but with the headphones on a saddle, like something was sizzling on a pan.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, did I put dinner on or something?
But no, like the explanation that we get of the Watcher in Original Sin, to my knowledge, is the only explanation we've ever gotten of the Watcher's origins. You just lost my. How did you lose my voice again, man?
I mean, we can barely hear it, but it's like
you're still there.
All of a sudden, like the volume drops to like 10% of what it was.
You're basically like, yeah. So then the Watcher then he decided that he was.
I'm not messing with anybody. I promise. Like
you just went up and down.
I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on here. I'm confused.
Uatu doesn't like us talking about him.
I guess.
That must be it.
That must be it.
Every week it's gonna be like a thing where we take like 10 minutes to figure out what's going on with Rob's audio problem.
We should give Rob an audio class. Here's how your computer works.
I mean, apparently I need it, because apparently I don't know how it works. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, no, the Watcher's really obscure. Like, Original Sin is the only time we ever got his backstory.
Right, and it's, I don't know, like the story just opened up so many doors. So much stuff is open. And the biggest thing that it's almost like they rotated it around for no reason. When Nick Fury is now the unseen, and this is the question you and I were asking, Rob, can nobody see him? Like, is he in the Watcher's role? Because he's chained to the moon.
Yeah.
Is this the last time we're ever going to see Nick Fury at this point? He's an old man chained to the moon. And Bucky apparently is now like Bucky Rogers, like blasting off in his face. I'm watching.
we did talk about that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That Bucky is taking over the role of Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nick Fury being unseen.
As intermittent as the quality of this story seemed to be, like in terms of like you guys said, like halfway in between, the beginning and the end, like it just wasn't interesting anymore. Like I think I'm gonna check it out anyways.
Yeah,
like it seems like it's good.
Dave,
and
you can't watch Star Wars and skip Empire Strikes Back just because it gets a little slow.
Oh, come on, really?
That's true, though.
New Hope is great, and Revenge of the Jedi's got him, doing Jedi shit. So fuck that middle.
Oh
movie.
boy, I hear all the Star Wars fanboys typing like frantically right now.
I'm saying you can't skip it. You have to watch them.
But for the record, I feel Empire is the best of them. Anyway.
No! Why do people say that?
No.
Why do people say that? Okay,
said
fine.
Empire of the Jedi. That's why I was saying that.
Okay,
Empire
fine. Then
is only good because it leads to the best movie in the whole series, Return of the Jedi. It does.
Okay,
It
fine.
sets
Okay,
up-
fine. Then
no.
here's Tiffany's chance to make her case. All right. Why is Empire Strikes Back good?
Honestly, it follows the the 3-part story, and the whole what the hell's that guy's name who wrote the like Myth of the Gods or whatever it is, it follows that perfectly. It's amazing.
What? Because it followed. Oh, okay. That's not a reason why it's
That's
good.
part of the reason. All right. My issues with Return of the Jedi not having to do with Ewoks, because look, Ewoks are Ewoks, and after we got prequels, Ewoks seem a lot less worse than
Ewoks are pretty awesome. No, the Ewoks are awesome.
The Ewoks got 2 movies of their own. Jar Jar Binks got removed from the second movie.
People hated Jar Jar Binks.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so all right. Aside from the Ewoks,
I'm just saying, this is gonna be like Benny's worst nightmare. He's going to regret this conversation if it continues for like the rest of his career. He's gonna be like, oh God, I didn't keep the podcast on track, and we got into an argument that didn't matter for 30 minutes.
No,
I'm fine with that. And even though the comments are saying Empire is the best, they're wrong.
No, they're not. Everyone who says that Empire is the best is correct. They're 100% correct. Look,
you know what the best one is? The best one? Episode 3.
Oh my God.
oh God,
I am going to throttle you.
you were the chosen one.
I have the higher ground. Don't try it, Anakin.
You were the
No,
chosen
no,
one,
I can't
Anakin.
follow, man.
Oh God, I hate the third one. They told me that you killed younglings.
Like, oh my God.
That movie was so pitiful.
Oh my God.
I hate the third movie.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
God, it's so painful. Okay.
Well, at least
I need to
Disney
regain
has
my
control of it now, and they do good jobs with everything.
All right, going back to Original Sin.
Yeah.
Now,
Going back to Original Sin.
I think the main story of Original Sin opened up the can of worms. It did. It created basically Lost. You got a whole bunch of crap that you were like, what is going on? You get to the ending. We opened up the door to a whole bunch of crap. Captain America doesn't trust Strange and Black Panther. They're hiding something from him. Nick Fury is now the Watcher. Bucky is up there doing space, like, cool stuff. The Thor lost his hammer, which is, by the way, one of the funniest panels ever, when they're flying back home. And Ant-Man's like, did we forget somebody?
Yeah.
And you just on the moon, like, all kinds of stuff happened. But what I think is the coolest thing about Original Sin is not the core storyline. The core storyline's good, and it opens up the doors, and I can totally see why we have to go right into Axis to give people a story that opens and concludes.
Yeah.
Because Original Sin didn't conclude. Original Sin just had an epic finale that is going to lead into a whole bunch of crap. But the tie-ins, I think the tie-ins were great. The Spider-Man was blah, but the Thor and Loki thing, that was pretty cool. Iron Man versus the Hulk, I loved that story. That was a great story that wrapped into the whole thing. But one of the coolest things about the Original Sin storylines, I don't know if you read it, but there was the one called Original Sins, which was 3 stories about different guys who learned various things. And one of the things we find out is that Nick Fury is a lot sadder than you thought he was.
Yeah.
Dum Dum Dugan is actually a life model droid, and he didn't even know it. And Nick Fury's just been rebuilding him every time because Nick Fury needs his conscience. He needs his friend, and he's scared that he's going to go crazy without him.
Yeah. Those were things that I thought made Original Sin interesting. Because without them, you're just kind of like, I mean, all right, everybody's trying to figure out why the Watcher died. And somehow you're in the center of the Earth, and you have Nick Fury killing aliens and stuff, which I thought was a cool thing. But I think that the problem here is, like you said, there's a lot of unanswered questions. What did Nick Fury say to Thor that he couldn't wield his hammer? You know, what's going to happen between now and Thor issue number 1 in October when we have the female version of Thor, which obviously that's going to pick up from where Thor couldn't wield his hammer anymore. That was one of the things we were talking about earlier is you're going to have this new female version of Thor. I don't think Marvel's going to explain what happened with Thor between now and then. I think they're just going to pick it up with Thor number 1. It would make sense because you have to give this girl some kind of an origin. You have to explain why it is that she has the power of Thor in the first place. But I don't know. I mean, either way, I think that with the direction that Marvel's...
Real quick, because the comments are going over, but because you're talking about that stuff, the Amazing Spider-Man one, I agree with you. That Original Sin tie-in introducing Silk was pretty bad. But I think the only entire purpose, the reason they did that was to introduce Silk so that she can be in the new Spider-Woman book starting in October. Mm-hmm. You know about that the whole new book with the reason we brought
Yeah. She's somebody that was bit in addition to Peter Parker.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and they made a new Spider-Woman that they can put into that, and that's the whole reason why I think that Original Sin storyline was there. But
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, you were saying about the stories and how it opened the
Yeah,
doors. And
so with the direction that things are going in, obviously it'll have to be wrapped up in Axis, but the concern that I have is that Marvel's going to screw the pooch when it comes to Axis, that they're just going to goof it up, that they're going to have this great build-up, a lot of people are going to want to know what's going on, and we're just going to kind of get this, kind of thing, when Axis actually happens. I mean, the only thing I'm really excited for with Axis, or at least before I read issue number 8 of Original Sin, was Apocalypse coming back. But now, the interest that I have with what goes on after Original Sin really isn't Axis per se. It's like the new Thor and that kind of stuff. What's going to happen with Nick Fury, Bucky Barnes issue number 1, and so on.
How are they going to go Wolverine in it? That's a big one.
Honestly, man, I don't really care. I mean, Wolverine's been around for so long. I'm glad he's going, but I'm not that interested in Wolverine that I'll read The Death of Wolverine. I might read it anyway because people are probably going to want me to explain it at some point. But for right now, I mean, I'm so tired of Wolverine.
the only problem I think I have with Axis is because Original Sin left so much open, and it opened the door to a whole bunch of crap. Pretty much did what Age of Ultron did, where they changed the timeline so much we don't know what's going to happen now. That's kind of what they did with Original Sin. They left it all open, and I'm worried. Because they're shoehorning Axis in as, oh my god, Red Skull has Onslaught's suit and Professor Xavier's brain. It's going to be the most amazing villain ever. And I'm worried that we're just going to get, honestly, a DC-style story where it's just everybody slamming into Red Onslaught. He's fighting back. Oh my god, he's so powerful. Pull out the gods. More hammering and punching. Nothing ever really happens. I mean, I like DC because it's all about gods versus gods and destroying the world, and there's a lot of action in the panels, but I read Marvel for all of the soap opera drama and stuff that comes out of that one,
Yeah.
And the story. And I've got a weird feeling that the reason we're doing Axis so close is because they want to give people a story that beginning and end, and they want to give someone a giant villain again. Because we haven't had an Apocalypse. We haven't had a Galactus in a while. We haven't had a Thanos show up that's going to turn into the universe. We haven't had a world-ending villain since Ultron, and Age of Ultron was not a good world-ending villain story.
Yeah. It was, Age of Ultron wasn't bad, but it certainly wasn't as good as it could have been.
But don't you guys feel like if they keep having these world-ending villains showing up, that it just lessens the effectiveness of having a world-ending villain show up?
I 100% agree, and that's why I'm worried about this Axis event, because I get this weird feeling that they're doing it because the whole thing of the Watcher thing with Original Sin was the mystery and what secrets were revealed.
Right.
I feel like Axis is really just going to be it's a world-ending villain again. Oh, we're all going to go punch him.
Well, maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're like, no, we gave you the thought-provoking book, and now we're going to give you the book where everybody punches each other.
Maybe they will, but I don't mind the idea of. I think that some of the most interesting villains are like the great big world-ending villains because they usually have like these huge schemes. They go on and on and on and on and so on.
Well,
but
and how long has it been?
What do you mean?
Like,
it's our last world-ending event.
Yeah, like Age of Ultron was what, like 2 years ago?
Infinity really doesn't count because Infinity really wasn't a world-ending villain. It was a world-ending event that they stopped. It wasn't like they had to go against something that was so powerful. They took a whole fleet down. It was Age of Ultron. There was that one. I want to say it was Avengers versus X-Men. No, not even the Phoenix 5 really weren't. No. Would you say that Cyclops was a world-ending villain?
No, not at all.
Phoenix 5 were fixing.
But they tried to save the world. So, and then we had Civil War. That really wasn't.
Yeah, we really haven't had one since. Well, you could argue Scarlet Witch in the House of M, but all she did was warp reality. It was a universal-wide thing.
She doesn't count. You just love her.
I mean,
so
she was all right. It was an all right story, but
DC does that a lot, but Marvel doesn't do it very much.
Well,
DC we have like a world-ending villain of the month, and it works out. So.
Well, but I mean, it's like Benny said, like Apocalypse was probably the last great villain that tried to like annihilate or take over the world or something like that. Like it just hasn't really happened that much since then.
Well, and there's been world threats, but none of them have ever gotten to Earth.
We have one happening in DC right now. That one.
Annihilation, the Annihilation wave never got to Earth.
But that's the difference is you have like
Infinity, it kind of got to Earth, but really all that happened was like the whole thing with I forget the name. Attilan.
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 Yeah. No, all it is you have villains that show up. Like, you had the builders that show up. The builders could be killed. The builders were killed. Like, in fact, one of them was the head builder, I guess, was killed by Thor when he threw his hammer in the air and then called his hammer back and it punched a hole through him. You had Thanos, who more or less just ran off and was, like, encased in whatever that material is that he couldn't get away from. Although he's back now in the Thanos revelation. Yeah, it wasn't world ending. He was just looking for his supposed son, and he fought it till him in the what was that called? The Terrigen bomb went off and transformed everybody or brought all the Inhumans that were latent out into the public eye. But since Apocalypse, we haven't really had an instance where you have a villain who shows up and is so powerful that people can't like defeat him per se. They have to just kind of fight him off for a little while, and that's really kind of it with him. So,
what came
by
first,
the way,
Dark
Rob,
Phoenix
you said
or Age of Apocalypse.
Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix was the 1980s. Age of Apocalypse was in the 90s. It was like 92 or 93 or something like that.
I thought maybe Dark Phoenix came after. That's why.
No, she was part of Chris Claremont's run in the 80s. So yeah, what's so funny?
I was listening to you guys talking about Chris Claremont. I was listening to Sal yelling about. So just probably right back there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Sal was.
I don't know if he was playing devil's advocate or not, but I mean, I would say as many books as Chris Claremont was trusted with for the X-Men, he's probably the best.
Yeah, he's definitely the X-Men guy.
Sal very rarely will play devil's advocate. He has strong opinions and strong convictions, and he'll let you know about them.
Yeah, he went on a rant for like 10 minutes.
I am really upset with what Sal thought of Multi-University.
Really?
Because you could tell that video was like 30 minutes long or something, and he quick cut like all these segments just to make it sound like it wasn't that complicated.
No, and honestly, those videos are not that long because the guys have really gotten it down to a science, and I know they all just went in there. Nobody had any really differing opinions, and they just banged it out, and that was it. So I know there's not much more to that video, except they were just pretty upset and disappointed. And Sal had been talking to me about it prior to that, so I think he got some of it out there.
Though, and they made it look like he's like, it's so confusing. He's like, and then they went over here, and then he quick cut like 3 seconds later.
I know.
He made it more complicated.
Well, I think what the cut seemed like in that video to me, because I watched it too, is that he was trying to cut out some of the random ranting that he was doing.
That'll
so
happen.
It didn't seem.
Yeah, when any of the guys go off, sometimes he'll just cut some stuff out, just A, to make it shorter, and B, if it has nothing to do necessarily with what's
the tangents.
Exactly.
Especially if it's a 30-minute video as is. Imagine if you didn't cut out.
Oh my god.
You guys aren't
like an hour.
I'm so mad at him.
So, just to go back real quick to Original Sin, do you guys feel like that main run of it is more like almost a zero issue to things to come in the fall months?
Yeah. I think so.
Oh, it's definitely.
I think it set the stage for a lot of stuff. It was.
You know what I noticed though? I just thought of this. It set the stage for a bunch of crap to happen to characters that we haven't really been doing much with. Bucky wasn't doing anything. He was bouncing in and out of teams left and right.
Right.
Nick Fury was pretty much retired and gone, so we hadn't really even discussed him in forever. Thor's stories were getting crappy. They were. I dropped the book like 3 or 4 months back. I mean, it changes characters, and characters who have been doing good, it didn't alter. Captain America just showed up clueless.
Right.
Why doesn't nobody tell me what's going on? Oh well, back to the incursions. You know.
Right.
I don't know, and maybe Marvel legitimately is going in the direction of killing off characters. Marvel may very well be going in the direction of killing off. Oh, I pulled my thing out of my computer.
Well, haven't you heard the rumors that they're going to be doing a crisis type of thing?
Yeah, but I mean, but you look at like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and you compare it with the comics. Like Wolverine is Fox. Marvel's not really like advertising all that stuff. It makes sense that they would just kill off Wolverine and just say, if we're never going to get the rights to Wolverine back, then screw it. We'll just kill his character off entirely, and Wolverine will probably be gone for a pretty long amount of time. I don't think he'll be gone forever, but he'll be gone for a while. You look at like Thor. Like Thor lost the ability to wield his hammer. You know, Chris Hemsworth doesn't want to do Thor movies anymore, so we just may not see Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe anymore. Captain America, of course, he's going to be replaced by the Falcon, so we're going to see, like, we're seeing that Chris, God, what is his name?
Chris Evans?
Chris Evans doesn't want to do Captain America anymore.
That's right.
So Captain America's probably going to be killed off, and so you kind of see them, like, going parallel with one another. So it makes sense that the direction they're taking with Original Sin is they're elevating characters that we hadn't seen in a long time. Like, when was the last time you saw an amazing story or like a really long drawn out event that lasted years and years and years involving like Moon Knight. Like you never really saw that.
Right.
I mean, Moon Knight is in stories here and there.
Yeah, have you read his books?
Yeah, I've read. That's what I was gonna say. Like
the
Moon
new
Knight
releases are awesome, but they're all single. It's not a story arc.
Yeah, like Moon Knight has his own solo series, and it's interesting. But what you see Marvel doing is like bringing his character up, like making him more and more prevalent. And so I think that's what we're gonna see, like in both the Marvel Cinematic Universe and in comic books, is Marvel's going in the direction where they're kind of making them both one and the same, and they just go parallel. So when Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth and Robert Downey Jr. walk away from the roles in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the corresponding characters in the Marvel comics, I think, will start to take a back seat, and we'll start seeing like less stellar characters be elevated. Which it's about time to do that. It's time that Iron Man and Captain America and Thor step out of the limelight, and they give like room to other people.
While I agree with you, I don't think it's as strategized as you think it is. Based upon the books that do come out, I literally think Marvel's going, give everybody a number, their own solo series. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, cancel that crap. Put them on a team. Because they gave Gambit #1, and that story ended abruptly, and he got thrown on X-Men.
Nobody cares about Gambit's solo series.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, why would they make it then?
Yeah.
Magneto got a #1, and it's one of the best stories. I
If
mean,
this was like 15 years ago, I would totally care about a Gambit solo
Yeah,
series.
exactly. It's not the 1990s, early 2000s anymore. It's time to just let it go.
they basically did. They should have done a Gambit solo series in the 90s, and they're like, oh, we're in the 2000s. Let's try it now.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's
Same thing with Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye would have done so much better in the 90s. Now it's just like a guy with arrows on a solo book. Green Arrow is barely staying afloat only because it has a TV show. So I don't know what you're thinking.
that's the problem. See, that's the problem that Marvel has. That's one of the big reasons why I think DC is more successful in that sense. Marvel made really good decisions along the way. The House of M reduced the number of mutants, which means you have fewer people who just have like these godlike powerful abilities. All right, the whole Avengers versus X-Men put the Avengers in more of a realistic light, where people just didn't want to be part of the Avengers anymore. They said, look, I don't want to be part of any of this chaos. Civil War was the same way. But the problem still is you have guys like Hawkeye that shoot arrows. He has uncanny accuracy, but I mean, does an arrow really matter? I mean, is he going to shoot an arrow at Thanos? Like, what's his role going to be in Avengers 3 when you have the Avengers fighting Thanos? I mean, what could he possibly do to benefit anybody in that situation? I mean, is he going to give them like cups of water? I mean, I don't.
He doesn't cost a lot of money.
He doesn't, but the point is that when you look at a character that's as powerless as Hawkeye is, and you stand him next to characters, I mean, hell, even Captain America has like super fighting agilities and
those characters
stuff.
Shine. Like when you put those characters up against a normal person without power.
He does.
Money,
Where there comes
like,
a point.
he helps to elevate them.
He does, where there comes a point where they're introduced to a storyline against a villain that's just so powerful. They literally have no purpose in that story whatsoever.
Well, I mean, that's why he was barely in Avengers. Like they just took him right out.
Yeah.
You know. Like,
I mean,
and I agree with you that power set is really, really weak. I mean, if you want a great example of why that power set doesn't work, look at any one of the superhero-based MMORPGs where you can make your own superhero.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who joins the game normally makes their superpowered over crazy, this is my Spider-Man clone, this is my Superman clone. They make all that stuff. Then you have that one guy that shows up and he's like, I make arrows, And so then you always have the superheroes running across, and what they do is they'll give that class its own like acrobatic skills. So everyone's flying across the city, running at top speed across the city, calling in a teleporter, and then you got one dude, acrobatics,
okay.
I blended well.
In that new Marvel MMO, I chose Hawkeye.
Did you
Why
really?
do people play that?
I never got into it.
It's just Diablo. It's all it really is. That new one.
Yeah, well,
But the DC universe,
it's not new.
DC universe, I tried the acrobatics. I tried acrobatics. Okay, that was my first character.
You guys
I was like, I'm gonna do a
realize that-
martial arts and gadgets, right? And I'm running, and my buddies did flying and speed, and they're like, oh, our mission objectives across the city. He's there, and I'm like, whoa, no, I'm 3 blocks away. I'll be there in a minute. Don't start the mission.
Well, it's the same idea that like people, there are Star Wars fans out there who would rather play a smuggler than a Jedi.
Because they're stupid.
No!
Yeah, I'd rather be a Jedi.
Do
I'm pretty
Oh
sure
my
I'd
God.
rather have a lightsaber.
Why would you not be a Jedi?
Because
You could be a smuggler Jedi.
it's so cool to have like a crap ship and just go from parts of the galaxy and
In a world with Jedis.
That's why you have the Force Unleashed. You play that when you want to play a Jedi, okay?
That's true. But I mean, I'd rather be like a Jedi. I mean,
Exactly.
you know, like.
I can deflect your bullets, smuggler. You're useless. Now we have to add in a stupid narrative as to why you actually can go toe-to-toe with me.
I don't want to go toe-to-toe with you. I just want
Exactly.
to
Run, smuggler. Run.
Run. I just want to run off in my ragtag ship.
That's what I want.
But I don't know. I mean, I agree that characters like Hawkeye, like, are introduced to characters like Captain America, and you're like, man, Captain America, like, he's pretty powerful. You know, I mean, sure, he's being compared to, like, a guy who's the equivalent of a rock, but whatever. You know, like, cool. You know, I mean, he can do cool stuff. But then you're talking about a world where you have, like, I mean, let's just keep it, like, Earthbound. Like, we're not even going to go into, like, you know, the actual expanded, like, all the other planets and all the other races in the Marvel Universe that are just far beyond normal humans. Like, just Earthbound stuff. Like, at the very bottom tier, in terms of physical powers, you've got, like, Captain America, you got Hawkeye, you've got Spider-Man, all right? Then you've got people all the way up at the top. You got Franklin Richards, you got Mad Jim Jaspers, you got, you know, all kinds of characters way up there. Reality warping, omniversal threat level characters that could destroy the entire fabric of all realities instead of just their own. And so what you have is you're basically, like, taking these really low-level characters and you're saying, here you go, you know, these guys are on par with the higher level characters. No, they're not. And they never were. Captain America was never on par with the Incredible Hulk. For any reason. Like, never. Ever.
Well,
Ever.
It never
happened.
Trying to shoehorn reasons. I mean, great example, the latest stuff in the Avengers, he got to the end of time with all-powerful time-controlling beings. And the way for him to stop them, he chucked his shield, it ricocheted off a wall, and broke their contraption. That was his method of stopping the all-powerful time-traveling beings.
Well, if you look at it from just simply a storytelling point, like, those kind of characters truly are a gateway character because it makes you feel like you can come along on the adventure with them because even if you're not super powered, it's like, man, but I still have a good heart and, you know, some spirit about me and I can go on and, you know, just join them and do whatever I can in order to help. That, you know what I mean? Like, that sort of idea.
Some spirit about me. I have some spirit about me.
Well, it's like, do you remember in,
Another superhero?
You remember in JLA, I think it was JLA and not JLU, when Darkseid showed up and it's just a mess in the animated show, and Batman avoids the Omega beams, and like Superman just talks endlessly about how awesome Batman is simply because he won't give up. And it's like, while yes, Batman is not going to be the guy who punches Darkseid, you know, he's there for a reason and he can do something, even if it's just to pave the way for the guys who can actually do something.
But here's the thing. Okay, so let's take the
down.
example. Really? Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Then
I love Dave's face for that. He was like, really? Yeah, really? Rob? Really?
It's I don't know what it is. All right, everything's fine on my end, so I don't know what the deal
It's
is.
funny how once we mention it, it all of a sudden gets fixed.
I know.
No, I'm not.
Fixed until we mention it.
I'm not
You
doing
sit there with a
anything.
button like that.
You know what?
That's
I
what
will
we
sit
should
like
end
this.
We should.
I will sit like this for the rest of the podcast, and I won't say anything.
Those are some killer pits, buddy.
Oh, you don't even want to see my armpits, man. I got armpit hair like you wouldn't believe.
Squirrel girl. Simon Clark says it right. Squirrel girl.
Squirrel girl. Yeah, exactly.
Jam Geek, you're right. It did work, but okay. Here's my argument. Yes, Captain America threw a shield. It ricocheted off two walls, and it broke the time gem, and he went back in time. If the Hulk was there, he would have just clapped, and everything would have been done.
Yeah.
If Thor
Smashed
was
it.
there, a giant lightning storm would have fixed everything. And they would have written it into this massive struggle of those two characters trying to do it. Captain America's there, and he has really no powers other than he's a super soldier. And it's a shield ricochet that fixes the timeline?
Well,
What?
it's kind of like those normal characters. I feel like Marvel kind of wants a Batman without making like a Batman like DC has in the Justice League. And how I say that is like, because Batman in the Justice League will literally come in at the worst moment when all the OP characters are taken out and somehow save them with whatever means he has to save them. He will have a plan for all of them being completely shut down, and he'll somehow like throw a batarang at Darkseid and like free Superman and Wonder Woman, and then they'll all come back together and they'll fight. But
Someone's
I
been listening to my Batman stories.
no, I read Batman
Oh, okay.
like a lot. Like I have a whole shelf full of Batman. But the thing is I don't think Marvel wants to go there because everybody's going to call BS. If they're reading a Marvel book and they see Hawkeye come in the clutch and shoot an arrow in Apocalypse's face or Thanos' face, and Thanos stumbles back, and then Hawkeye manages to free everybody and fight him. Like, I don't think a Marvel reader would believe that, as opposed to a DC reader that's used to Batman doing something like that.
Yeah, but
Well,
Batman's
you're right.
on a
That's
whole
because
other
they
level
don't
when
do
you
anything with
compare.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, they don't. That
You're
was one
low
of the
again,
big.
Rob.
Huh?
You're low again.
I'm low again.
Now you're back.
And now you're back.
Is it
After
like
we told you.
Is it like a Skype problem or something?
Most
I'm
likely.
not sure, but yeah, Skype has a lot of problems. And there was just an update today, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's something here that says automatically adjust microphone. Should I unset that?
Oh, yeah,
Uncheck
don't-
Why
that?
do you have
Yeah,
that
no.
on?
Why
Oh.
why would you
You
have
don't
that
want
on?
it.
Oh, I don't want that on.
No.
There's a setting in Windows for that, and there's a setting
Oh.
for Skype for that.
No,
So
you
you
want
want
to
to
just
disable
speak.
both of
We
them.
help Rob fix his audio issues live on camera.
I am new to the internet.
too
I'm
low.
sorry, guys.
Fix it again.
I'm too low.
Fix it more.
What?
You're low.
Oh, all right. Hold on. My God, just hold your horses. All right. All right. Audio settings.
So,
Turn that up.
Dave and Tiffany, what have you guys read this week?
I just picked up Wayward. It's an image comic.
Never heard of it.
It's an indie kind of book. That's typically what I
I
pick
got
up.
low here somewhere. I don't even know.
I'm-
where it
I'm
You got
taking-
Low? I really want to read that.
Low's good.
Is
Go
it?
read Low.
I almost picked it up, and then I was like, no, I'm already getting these other two things. I'm gonna hold on.
No, Low. The first and second issue so far are good.
Yeah? Alright.
Okay.
I've
It's
read
like,
a
it's
lot.
like Fantastic Four under the water and like gruesome.
Alright, I like that.
So-
Okay. Does that sound better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome back to the weekly.
I've got it.
Rob.
I've got it set all the way. I've got it set all the way up.
Awesome.
I told you guys in due time I would learn how to work all this stuff.
I've read a lot of indie books this week.
Oh man.
I'm
Well, that's
taking a
awesome,
break from
Dave.
Marvel because I think Marvel.
You're not
is
allowed
just
to
my
talk.
head explode.
Indie titles.
Look pretty.
So
You are eye candy.
Dave is eye candy. That's why you're in the middle of the live stream right now. Like I'm streaming and you're right in the middle. Like
Yep.
I know, I
Dave's
can see
eye
it.
candy. You should look in a bikini.
Oh, Dave, we love you, man.
my girlfriend would love that.
Mhm.
No, but I've read the first deluxe edition of Criminal. I've read the volumes 4, 5, and 6 of that one manga.
Manga's not a comic. Get
Full
your
Metal
fucking-
Alchemist.
You're right. We are
started
not crossing into Japan over here,
There's
man.
nothing wrong with manga, okay?
I love manga,
Oh.
but you don't talk about manga here. That's a totally different subgenre.
Yeah.
A subgenre?
A subgenre of real comics.
No!
I read
Oh.
like 800 pages of
Benny, we're
Walking
gonna have a
Dead
problem come
season
October. I don't know if you know this.
We need to rename this podcast to Benny's Unpopular Opinions.
Man, Vinny's gonna be in Jersey for like 2 minutes. And he's gonna start getting an earful. I don't know what the hell your problem is and what your problem is with manga. But ain't nothing wrong with that stuff.
The manga's just trying to be a real comic. That's all it is.
Just
okay.
trying to be a real comic.
All right.
See, you read it backwards according to Scoot Manley, and that blows my mind. It's not real.
But now I'm
Scott
reading Daredevil
is the
Yellow.
greatest ever.
You're reading Daredevil Yellow?
Mhm.
Why are you reading Daredevil Yellow?
Because I bought this.
I like Dave's answer. Because I wanted to.
Yeah, like
Oh, if you
what's stopping me?
if you've been watching Dave's videos, Robs, you would know that he picked that book up based upon your recommendation.
Yeah, I know he did.
So, why else
Sales
would
recommendation, actually.
Oh,
someone? Okay, I half watched your video, so.
yeah. And you were talking about how you pick. Okay, so what do you think about Inhumans so far? Since you got the whole Inhumans shindig.
I didn't like Inhumanity. I thought it was a bunch of tie-ins, and then at the end there was some like 2 like really short books that like tied up the event.
But see,
I also, I don't know if you watched this video, but I know Benny did, and he was like, I don't know how you could make an 8-minute video about a damaged book. But I also had quite a few pages of that were all like smudged up, and there was some dents on the cover, so I was kind of discouraged reading that in the first place, because I already knew it was damaged before I started reading it, and then I saw a bunch of smudges on the pages, and I didn't like that. But for the most part, I guess, like, they could have cut the story down to, like, 3 or 4 books, but it ended up being, like, 500-600 pages long.
Wow.
And I like, with everything that was in the hardcover.
Well, see, that's why. I didn't realize that they kept a lot of that stuff when they did like the whole omnibus thing. But that's why I suggested that you check out Inhumanity.
The Wii U is talking to me, and I don't know why.
Inhumans was very good. Like
The 1998 run.
Yeah.
The Paul Jenkins, Jay Lee run. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
it collects volumes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You recommended volume 2, but I really loved.
Man, what are you doing, man?
This just popped up on my Wii U randomly. Like,
What
it's
is
not
that?
even on. It turned itself on to give me a commercial.
Wow. Damn.
It's not even on.
It's the Kindle syndrome.
Yeah, man. It's
For the record, there's a Super Smashing sale celebrating the upcoming launch of Super Smash Brothers.
Awesome.
Wow.
I
But that's
really think Andrew Smith, the guy who played in Sherlock, who played the villain in Sherlock, Moriarty, he would make a perfect Maximus the Mad if they were to make an Inhumans movie.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
if
they are.
anybody has seen Sherlock, but oh my god, he's like typecast like right away. First scene he's in, you would say like, yeah, that's Maximus the Mad right there.
Better question
Yeah.
for you though, Dave. Who would you cast as Lockjaw?
Probably. I mean, I would cast like Beethoven.
Isn't that dog dead?
Probably. The movie was made 25 years ago, man. I'd say he's
Man,
probably dead.
I don't know, because the whole time, does he actually have a voice, or is he just thinking in his head?
No, it's telepathic.
Yeah, he's telepathic.
Like, yeah, so it's like an inner monologue, almost like Black Bolt would be.
Yeah.
So I don't really know, because I can't, like, I couldn't really put a voice to him. I
You turned my
imagine
lamp
it
on.
being like deep and manly, but
My God, the light
I
is
don't
real.
So let me ask you guys this: could you see Sean Connery as the voice of Lockjaw?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Sean Connery's the voice of anything, so.
What would you have me do?
Morgan Freeman. That's the
Or
voice
you have
of-
Morgan Freeman as the voice of Lockjaw.
You need to
Wow.
do a Sean Connery where he's supposed to have an accent, like a
Turn that
Russian
light off.
sub-captain or an Egyptian.
I mean,
or a dog with the power to telepathically talk to you.
There you go.
or a dog with the power to telepathically talk to you.
Okay, well, since you read that, Dave, do you watch the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Dave?
Yes, but I have to say I got bored with it like 5 episodes in, and then
Oh
I picked
no,
it up.
man.
I don't watch
I
it.
picked it up around the Captain America tie-in.
Oh, it's good.
So-
Agents of
Well,
Shield
I know.
just gets
I'm
better.
gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy it on Blu-ray, and I'm gonna watch the whole thing, because I really got into it after the Captain America tie-ins, and I want to see the Thor Dark World tie-ins.
You know what you could say is, "Hey Rob,
Yeah.
how did you watch Agents of Shield? Did you watch it online or did you watch it on TV?" And I'd say, "Well, Dave, I don't have cable because it's a waste of money, and instead I have HBO Go, Hulu, and Netflix, and Amazon Prime." And so you could say, "Well, does Agents of Shield come on any one of those?" And I'd say, "Yeah, it's actually on Hulu." And you'd say, "Well, hey, can I borrow your password one day?" And I'd say, "Probably not."
No. I and Hulu Plus only does 5 episodes from the last season.
Oh, see, the last
For
I
it.
saw it before. Actually, I think it was before the show, before the season ended. They had all the episodes up to that point, but yeah, they
so
may have taken them all
still
off.
have the last 5 episodes with all the Captain America tie-ins and stuff.
That sucks.
But at that point, I was just getting into the show, so I only got to see those episodes.
I mean, it won't be long before it'll probably be on Netflix or something like
Oh.
that. So
Yeah. Oh, I guarantee it'll be there real soon because they're going to promote the whole Netflix.
Oh, no,
Marvel
Yeah.
thing.
I collect the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so I'm gonna buy it on Blu-ray. That's
Oh,
just
okay.
gonna happen.
But what I wanted to ask you, Dave, was since you've seen the show and you're pretty much the only one of us who has read the Inhumans like thoroughly through recently,
Yeah.
Honestly, I've read the current books that are coming out. I know Rob knows some of the older stuff, but I don't know any of the older stuff right now. I got to read up on it. But anyway, who do you see? Do you see Skye as being one of the currently known Inhumans, or do you see Skye being something new?
Crystal.
I mean,
well,
I'm trying to get Dave in the conversation more.
The thing is the Marvel Cinematic Universe could tell their audience that anybody is an Inhuman.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, it's a civilization of people, so they could literally.
Well, no, I mean,
Inhuman.
keep in mind, because I don't know if it covered this in the beginning of the omnibus, but the Inhumans were made around in a lot of the same way that like the Deviants and the Eternals were made. Because I don't know if you know like the whole history of the Earth and the Marvel universe and whatnot.
Too.
Okay, so you had like Celestials that came along and they kidnapped people, and as a result, they made the Deviants and the Eternals. Mm-hmm. And so then you had the Kree that came along and they experimented, and of course they made the Inhumans. And where did Benny go? Benny, where did you go? Benny.
It was the Wii U.
It was the Wii U.
Yeah.
Clearly, it was the Wii U. I mean, somebody said like Skynet's real.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then you had like the Inhumans that came along and they made the Inhumans and whatever, or the Kree came along and made the Inhumans. But the way they cover it originally is all you had were just the Inhuman. What the hell? Wow.
Hey.
Hey. A little bit. remember that one time that you were on the podcast and then like you dropped out and then like you came back up and you had like this weird smile on your face? It was weird.
You had like a sadistic Joker smile on your face?
Do you remember that one time where Ron was having audio issues and then he fixed them and now he seems to be fading into the black?
Wait, isn't that like every time?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that like every time?
Every time.
Hey, Rob, did you know that you currently have no light in your house, apparently?
Oh, yeah, I know about that, man. I mean, what? I mean, I have a lamp in front of my face, but the problem is the lamp's too bright. Hold on. Hold on a second.
Wait, hold on. I got an honest question for Rob.
What?
Do you need me to loan you money so you can buy light bulbs?
I need money. Ironically enough that you say that, like I bought light bulbs the other day. I had to replace the one in my laundry room. But the problem is that like I don't have like a step ladder, and so I took like my rolling computer chair into the laundromat and like stood on it, and I was like, I'm so gonna die. Like this is how it ends. But I was like, if it doesn't, like it'll be a tale to tell. So like, I'm telling you the story now. Like it was pretty awesome. I was like, I'm like MacGyver.
The story would be better if I could see you. But
well,
right
you know what? I'm turning on a light, man. Oh, God. Okay. I think that's better. I think that light's better.
That's a weird light.
Well, I've got. Oh, okay. So
it doesn't look like a light. It looks like you just opened the door to a crematorium and you're about to start shoving bodies into the fire.
Just shoving.
My imagination is crazy.
Shoving cadavers in there.
I went straight to you're putting bodies into a fire.
I mean, you know, from replacing light bulbs. I guess it makes sense in some weird way.
So what were you saying, Rob?
About what? The light bulbs or
question?
About what?
No, you were
Oh,
like,
see now Dave's like, hey everybody, pay attention, like notice me. Everybody notice me.
Well,
I'm Dave.
I'm just saying.
How many lights do you have on over there?
I have one light on.
See, here's the beautiful thing for living in Colorado. Check it out. It's the sun. It's still out there.
Awesome. It's the sun.
It's dark.
There's light. My dad used to say that when I was younger. Like, it'd be the middle of the day, and I'd have, like, the light on in the room. He'd be like, what are you doing, son? Let the sun be your light. And he'd open the blinds and turn off the light switch.
Let the sun be your light.
Let the sun be your light. But no, so
let the sun power you.
all right, but that was one of the reasons why I suggested that you get the Inhumans omnibus, and the reason why is because the Inhumans are just like this on-running thing. The Inhumans are like the way the X-Men used to be in the '90s, where you just constantly had this really interesting on-running story. Sometimes it's hit and miss, but the Inhumans are background, so you kind of have to get caught up on all the old Inhuman stuff in order to really like keep track of what's going on, because they'll just pop up in the background, and it'll be kind of weird with what's going on. But Anyway, with the origins of the Inhumans, the what you're saying is true. Marvel could come along and just say, well, anybody's an Inhuman, because there's nothing to say otherwise. Like, the Inhumans came along when the Kree experimented on select humans, but the Inhumans that we see, starting with Fantastic Four issue number whatever, and Black Bolt and the Royal Family and all that. Yeah, issue. I don't remember what issue it is, but
found a hole in Rob's memory.
I don't remember what issue it is.
First.
I don't remember what issue it is.
It's your issue. Why don't you know it?
I don't.
And by the way, Rob, I'm still waiting for my video on Madcap. So
on Madcap, you're not getting a video on Madcap.
Wait, viewers, would you like to see Rob do a video on the voice inside Deadpool's head?
Why would I do a video? Why would I do a video?
History.
Why would I do a video on the voice inside Deadpool's head?
Because everyone wants to know who the voice in Deadpool's head. It's a person, guys. It's a person. He's stuck in there.
Oh my god. Okay, anyway, back to our discussion on the Inhumans. So anyway, when the Inhumans first showed up in Fantastic Four issue number 44, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Right. You looked it up while I was ranting.
Yes, I
I
did.
gave you a lead way to look on Wiki.
Yes, I did. I couldn't remember what it was, so I looked it up. But anyway, so when they first showed up, it was just that group, and we've never been introduced to another group of Inhumans besides them. It wasn't until Inhumanity. What?
Someone says yes to Madcap. You may continue.
I'm not doing Madcap. I'm not doing the voice of Deadpool's head. But anyway, so anyway, we're not up until Inhumanity. We don't know that there are any other Inhumans. We kind of suspect it. I mean, it would make sense, but that's it. And so that's one of the reasons why I say the Inhumans are so important, because Marvel could come along and say, well, here's the basis for how the Inhumans were created, and then anybody could be an Inhuman, because in truth, it's true. Like anybody could be an Inhuman. I mean, there are members of the mutant community that could become Inhumans at some point in time if they're exposed to the Terrigen Mist. They change their physical form, they become a giant talking cow or something like that, and they've got powers. So, like, there's really you just don't know. It's just a latent gene inside of people that's awoken when they're exposed to the Terrigen Mist. So there's no way to know for certain if it's true or not. But I'm looking at myself in Skype, and I look like I'm getting ready to tell, like, a scary story. Like, once upon a time, there was a haunted house.
The best comment was somebody said Rob's refrigerator is next to his computer desk. Just open the door.
I just opened the refrigerator door.
Also an air conditioner.
Were you insinuating that Marvel could potentially just take characters that they would like to have that maybe are not established as mutants and make them Inhumans in order to get them back, or to utilize them, or to put something like that into their cinematic universe that's similar to mutants without having to deal with Fox? Is that what you mean?
I'm not saying
Tiffany/Sal.
Tiffany Sal.
I don't know if you
I
noticed,
go
but we have 2 actors for Quicksilver and 2 actresses for
I know.
I
know.
Tiffany's onto a good line of thought. I will neither confirm nor deny that Wolverine becoming part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe will be due to aliens, but it's probably aliens. So I'm just saying.
They've already said that they basically, instead of being mutants, they're miracles.
They're miracles.
And miracles are now eventually going to, at the rate they're going, turning into the Inhumans. And pretty much, they've even come out, Stan Lee's even come out and said this, says we can't get X-Men. We have the Inhumans.
Yeah.
And guess what? Guess who just got a big push from Infinity? And their book is doing horrible because they keep missing deadlines. But
yeah. I mean, it's semantics
like
at this
5,
point.
and it's been like 3 months, I think.
Yeah. It's just semantics. It's really all it is.
If they want to bring them out into the limelight, like, they need to do better than Inhumanity, though. Because Inhumanity had literally in the 448-page book or whatever it is, there were 3 issues that were important. There was, like, the first issue where they were like, it was with the dude that can. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. The guy who can detect weaknesses in anything.
Oh, yes, you're talking about the guy. He always wears green. He's got the big head.
Yeah, he's got the green helmet that looks like a shiny dome.
Damn it, I don't remember. I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't remember his name.
Where he, like, breaks the unbreakable, like, Hulk-proof glass, and he, like, dives out of there after, like, talking to the Queen and, like...
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
About, like, Adelan crashing into the New York City skyline and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was an important issue, and then the Inhumanity 1 and 2 were important issues, and everything in between, like, they put Indestructible Hulk in there, and they put, like, new Avengers in there, and a bunch of books that, like, I didn't care about. Like,
well, you got to remember, Inhumanity is a Fallout event. Inhumanity is what happens after Infinity. You have the Terrigen bomb that goes off, and so it's just like, okay. And all Marvel did with Inhumanity, the whole basis for that was for them to introduce us to the fact that these aren't the only Inhumans. I mean, it's just a segue into a future storyline involving the Inhumans, which makes sense. I mean, granted, I think they could have done better, but at that point, I looked at it for what it was and said, this is basically Marvel just spending, like, making us pay a whole bunch of money to tell us, like, there's more Inhumans than the ones that you see. That's basically it. which is cool.
Record,
so,
Rob, it's hilarious that you're currently in like I'm telling a scary story mode, and then you vaped, and we had like scary story mist going over your head, and the only thing I could think of is, are you afraid of the dark?
Hold on. I don't know. Hold on. That's what I was getting ready to pull up. I don't know if you guys can hear this or not, but we're gonna see if we can pull it up and see if you guys can see if you guys can hear that.
That's why I started cracking up. I didn't want to interrupt because you had a good point, but I'm like, dude, he's like in the woods right now. Like, oh my god, look at how scary mist. Ghost!
Like if I play this and watch it, it's probably gonna scare me. But you know, whatever.
Dude, watch my PT thing again.
Don't judge me, bro. I don't know. Can you guys hear that at all?
I can't hear anything.
Oh.
By the way, excuse my French, but dumb bitches, I am not a bro.
You have to unplug your headset if you want us to hear something coming through.
I have to unplug my headset?
Yeah, because you're streaming your camera. You're not streaming your desktop. We're gonna sit down and just teach you how a computer works.
I guess. I don't know how the internet's work.
Unplug your headset.
Well, see.
Okay, hold on. Let me unplug my headset.
See, Rob uses an
wait a
AMD
minute.
processor, which is his first fail.
To unplug your headset, you go to where the cord plugs into it, and you pull that out.
Oh my
Hold on.
God.
I think here. I'm just gonna switch to stereo mix on my microphone.
No. So now we can't hear nothing.
It's not playing right now.
Now you just talk, look, he's yapping. He's just yapping.
It's
No noise. Rob, I'll translate for you. Rob is very amused at how bad he is at computers.
It's not.
He just broke the live stream.
It's not playing right now.
To all of our viewers.
It's not.
He's now very angry that- and his mind is blown that he doesn't know how a computer works. And he makes a good amount of his time
Right now.
angry. And you won't like him when he's angry because his camera may turn green because he doesn't know how to do it, but the camera might do it.
Benny's gonna get his ass fired.
Oh yes, he will be fired from this podcast. Oh Benny, stop putting words in my mouth, Benny. By the way, your channel is so much better than mine. And your stories are incredible, and I cannot tell a story as good as you. And Tim, let Sal know that TV Little House covers way more stuff than I do. And I just want you to know your channel's a-okay. But
Are you done now? Are you done?
I think he just said some explicitives. Maybe we'll put some stuff over his mouth. Not you, Benny. So yeah. Now he's just vaping. I think he gave up. I think this might be the end of the podcast.
Can you guys hear that?
Unless we can continue with Rob and hand signals. Rob, give me. I need you to Hulk out from you right now, Rob.
Rob killed the volume for all of us. Nobody can hear any of us right now. So everything that we're saying is just lost on everything.
No, they can hear me. I'm at a low voice. I'm just so freaking loud.
I killed the volume for everybody. I don't know how to use the internet.
I think this is a good ending point for the official podcast.
We should probably go ahead and bring the podcast to an
Now
end.
that Rob is officially president,
Oh.
what you guys may have missed is Rob was trying to me through text how amazing my channel is. So if you do me a favor, go check out the Comic Story channel. Rob has said it's better than his.
Oh.
Why don't you go check it out? It's in his little bar on the side there of recommended channels, and I really do appreciate it if you guys can head over there and give it a subscription. I just put out The Blackest Night today. Red Daughter of Krypton comes out Saturday. Doctor Who, the first Doctor, comes out on Tuesday, and then on next Thursday, I've got the original City Story. Tiffany, what is TV Little House doing?
Well, I know that today the latest issue, or the latest
episode of Back that came out where they covered Dark Knight Returns 2. So that was fun.
That was hilarious.
And, you know, next week there'll be some Off the Rack and another Back.
Okay. Dave, what's up?
I'm gonna put out another Civil War Frontlines this time. The book collecting Frontlines. Within the next week, I'm gonna order books again, so I'll do another unboxing, unpackaging video, and also I may throw in a review of Absolute.
Wait, hold on, Dave. You're gonna continue in a minute, but I think Rob broke all of us, and they
Oh
can...
my goodness.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Oh, come on. No way.
So all three of our plugs got nowhere.
No way. There's no way that's true.
Channels for us, and let's close this out while you go reboot your computer.
Okay, fine. So
Rob, they can hear you, but we're all very low volume.
Yeah, so then Rob should just plug what we just said.
Rob, plug all of this, please.
okay, all right. Since apparently I've broken the internet and the podcast and everything. Benny's doing comic story and stuff. Tiffany's helping with Sal TV Little House stuff, and Dave may or may not have a video in the next couple months or so. So Dave's making videos.
Rob is like us, we're not making fun of Dave.
Dave's making videos. Dave's uploading videos. I'm gonna start Original Sin on Monday, and after Original Sin, we're gonna do Infinity Gauntlet. So.
Hold on, Dave. I don't know how you did it, but you did turn 8 minutes into what's damaged in your book. I don't know what you did. I could not do that. It would be like a minute and a half.
It got just as many views as any of my other videos did in the last couple days.
I'm applauding, good sir, for somehow doing that, but okay.
Even though they are minimal views still, it happened. I don't know how.
Word. All right, guys. We're gonna bring this podcast to an end, so we don't break the internet any more than we already have, or than I already have. I guess I shouldn't include everybody else. My internet mishap. But yeah. So yeah. Go check out everybody's channel, TV Little House, Dave and Benny, and there'll be links in the description where you guys can see their channels. And yeah. So I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Is nobody else gonna say bye?
I don't know if they can hear us.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Bye.
Yeah, just wave.